Chapter 3559. This woman was not simple. In fact, she was extremely complicated. Thinking of this, their faces turned bitter. One of them was Lin Wudi, a peerless genius whose name shook the first astral realm, and the other was a mysterious woman with such a noble status. As for him, he was also extremely arrogant and did not put anything in his eyes. However, in just a few short days, his confidence was completely shattered. Therefore, for a moment he stood in front of the Milky Way, and his expression changed incomparably. This time, was there a need for him to go? Blue moon in a dark hall, the mysterious man was still shaking the wine glass in his hand. In front of him, the warrior who left returned once again and knelt on one knee on the ground. Young master, they have already boarded the ship. Which one is it? The Milky Way. The Milky Way? It seemed that his luck was not bad. However, it was still useless. Even if he boarded the Milky Way, he could not save her fate. The mysterious man drank the spirit wine in his hand and then stood up. She was already in the net. It was time to make a move. You Wuxia, you can't escape from our grasp. The Milky Way. There were more and more people on the ship, and it had already exceeded 2 million. At this time, the pale man who seemed to be sick also came. He felt for a while, and a flame appeared in his eyes again. She came here? It seemed that she wanted to leave. Well, he would deal with her on the way. He also paid 10,000 caddies of divine crystals and then boarded the island. When it reached 3 million people, an array formation was set up around the Milky Way, and no one was allowed to board the ship. Next, the huge island slowly flew into the distance. Not long after, it completely left the blue moon and entered the universe. Whoosh! On the island, everyone looked around curiously because most of them boarded the Milky Way for the first time, and it was also their first time going to the second astral realm. Therefore, they were very curious about what the legendary Scattered Star Sea was like. They had not seen the Scattered Star Sea yet, but they first felt a huge storm blowing from all directions. The wind blew on them, making a thunderous sound. Soon, the array formation around them flickered and blocked the storm, but it did not completely eliminate it. Feeling the sea breeze of the Scattered Star Sea was also a unique experience. What a terrifying sea breeze. Was that the Scattered Star Ocean? Heavens, this disarray star ocean is too big, isn't it? Those worlds and planets are actually like islands. Exclamations of surprise could be heard. The surrounding people all saw that they had already entered the chaotic star ocean. Light flickered all around them. They were worlds of various sizes, but compared to the Scattered Star Seas, they were like islands in the middle of the sea. The Scattered Star Seas was truly too vast. Flying alone was simply courting death. Compared to heaven and earth, humans were truly too insignificant. Looking at the strange sea scenery, the northern monster was filled with emotion. At the side, the dark red divine dragon said, "It wasn't just humans. Compared to the universe, a world was much more insignificant. The two of you, don't be discouraged. Although we seem very insignificant now, we can still shine brightly without a future." The primeval emperors could suppress the entire universe by themselves. At that level, the disarray star sea was just a puddle of water in his palm. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. That's right. We have to advance towards the path of the primeval emperors. The northern monster and the dark red divine dragon also took a deep breath. Oh my, the three of them at the first heaven were actually fantasizing about the primeval emperors. What wishful thinking. What a joke. They were courting death. At that moment, a disdainful voice was heard. Lin Xian frowned. He turned around and saw a group of people walking over arrogantly. The one who spoke was a man. He was sitting on a majestic demon wolf. The demon wolf had actually reached the sage state. That was the howling moon demon wolf. It was extremely terrifying and powerful. Ordinary first heaven sages were no match for it. At that moment, it was actually being used as a mount. This man's identity was definitely not ordinary. That person revealed a disdainful smile and then left. Damn it, I really want to kill them. What's there to be arrogant about riding a stupid wolf? The dark red divine dragon was unhappy. The northern monster said, "Forget it. How can a sparrow know the ambitions of a swan? There's no need to get into a conflict with them." In the following days, they began to familiarize themselves with the island. It had to be said that this island was very magical. They also saw the Milky Way that shuttled through the island. They could feel the powerful aura of the Milky Way and were extremely emotional. At night, Lin Xian stood on the Milky Way and looked at the distant Scattered Star Ocean. Looking at the night scenery, he was even more emotional. This was very useful for him to comprehend the great path of heaven and earth, especially after experiencing the vastness of the Scattered Star Ocean. Although the Milky Way was very big, its speed was not slow at all. It was almost twice as fast as the spirit ship that Lin Xian and the others were on. Even so, it would still take a year to reach the second astral realm. It seemed that they would have to spend this year on this island. However, just 10 days later, something happened. That night, suddenly the Milky Way shook violently. Everyone was awakened by the shaking. They walked out of the palaces and pavilions, their faces full of confusion. What's going on? Is the Milky Way under attack? The sages who were meditating outside also opened their eyes, their faces full of confusion. They had no idea what was going on. They only saw monstrous waves in the distance that were enough to swallow an entire world. In the center of the island, where the Milky Way surrounded, there was a palace. That was the best control hall for the Milky Way. That was where the person in charge of the ship lived. At this moment, the powerhouses and sages in the main hall were also awakened. Through the array formation, they looked at the scene outside and soon frowned. It shouldn't be. We've deduced that there shouldn't be such a powerful storm these days. Moreover, our route was planned, so there shouldn't be such a violent storm. 2 old men held the 8 trigrams, their expressions uncertain. The others were also discussing. What happened? Did someone attack us? Impossible, they didn't feel the aura of others. Some people also held the light ball and frowned. Suddenly, someone exclaimed and pointed at the array formation light screen, his face extremely pale. Look, what's that? Everyone turned their heads and looked. The next moment they gasped. That was because they saw a huge black tentacle on the screen. It slapped the seawater, stirring up waves that could swallow the world. Doomsday octopus. Heavens, why is that thing here? In the Milky Way, those people were completely stunned. They hurriedly activated all the arrays and let everyone in. Also, change the route and avoid the Doomsday octopus. It shouldn't be attacking us. It's just passing by here. We still have hope of survival. These people moved quickly. Chapter 3560. They also saw a huge tentacle that blotted out the sky for tens of thousands of miles. It fell from the sky and hit the nearby seawater. The waves created by the explosion engulfed the entire island. Everyone retreated in fear. But at this time, the entire island was incomparably dazzling, directly sealing the island. The seawater hit the formation and then quickly flowed away. At the same time, a loud voice sounded between heaven and earth. Everyone listen up, immediately enter the palace. We will activate the formation. Hearing this, everyone moved. They turned into a stream of light and flew to their own palace. During this time, some experienced people also said to leave quickly. This is a world-destroying octopus. It's very terrifying. What? World-destroying octopus? That's a terrifying existence that can destroy a world. It's definitely a heaven-defying beast. Countless screams rang out, and even the dark red dragon gasped in shock. At this time, the elder on the Milky Way spoke again. Everyone, don't panic. Although it's a world-destroying octopus, it's not attacking us. It should be just passing by. We will quickly change our course. As he said that, everyone could clearly feel that the Milky Way was changing direction. Lin Xian looked at the huge octopus and was also shocked. Without the Milky Way's formation, it would be absolutely difficult to escape from such a world-destroying octopus. Even a minor saint wouldn't be able to escape, right? Kid, don't just stand there, hurry up and leave. The dark red dragon said. Lin Xian said, it shouldn't be a problem. I want to feel the power of this world-destroying octopus up close. Well, if they stayed here, they would be able to see that huge figure outside. Every attack was incomparably terrifying. The Milky Way flew for 4 hours before completely shaking off the world-destroying octopus. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. It's too terrifying. This scene greatly touched Lin Xian. Next, he began to cultivate and comprehend the great Tao. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. On this day, Lin Xian and the others came out again. They heard that the blue sky flower on the Milky Way had bloomed, and many people went to see it. Bailuo, which meant blue sky, was rumored to be even rarer than the Bailuo flower. Who would have thought that there would be one on the Milky Way? At the foot of the mountain there was a small valley. Inside the valley there were some jade fall flowers. It was abnormally ethereal. It was as dazzling as the blue sky. What was even more shocking was that there was a woman standing near the falling jade flower, a woman with a veil on her face. That woman was so beautiful. Yes, although I couldn't see her face clearly, I felt that she was very enchanting. Get out of the way. A loud voice rang out. Following that, a huge force surged forward, pushing back the people in front. Those who came here were either saints or geniuses. They were naturally furious that they had been forced to retreat. Their bodies were surrounded by nomological laws, and a powerful force suppressed the surroundings. But soon they cried out in surprise. An even more terrifying power swept over, forcing them to retreat. Who was it? They all turned their heads. They saw a gigantic howling moon demon wolf appear before them. The demon wolf was tall and terrifying. Its demonic aura surged into the sky. And on the howling moon demon wolf, there was a man sitting cross-legged. His face was arrogant. There were some saints walking around him. They were obviously guardians. It was someone from the Yu family. It was young Master Yu. Many people exclaimed. When they heard this name, they all stepped aside to make a path. Young Master Yu sat on the demon wolf and walked forward with a cold smile. He had also come to see the blue jade falling flower. However, when he saw the beautiful figure standing beside the blue jade falling flower, his eyes immediately lit up. There was a beauty. He jumped off the demon wolf and walked forward. He didn't expect to meet such a beauty here. How should I address you? Young Master Yu went up to her. Yushirchia's eyes flickered as if she was in a daze. When she saw someone walking over, she frowned slightly. To be honest, since she was already on the Milky Way, she could completely relax. So if someone dared to get close to her, she would have scolded them. But now she didn't. 2 days ago, she was tidying up her storage ring and found her necklace. She had been carrying this necklace with her, but when she met Lin Xian, she was told to sell or throw it away. At that time, Yushirchia didn't care. But when she found out about Lin Xian's identity and strength, she was shocked. There must be a reason why he said that, so they studied it carefully. Sure enough, they found a problem with the necklace. It turned out that there was an array on the necklace. It was a tracking array that could lock onto her position. She immediately destroyed the necklace and checked everyone's body, including the things they were carrying. Although she didn't find any tracking arrays, their expressions were not good. Especially Yushirchia. She knew that she was being followed. And it was almost a month after she stepped on the Milky Way that she found out. Damn it, who was following her? That person must have also boarded the Milky Way, so she couldn't be careless now. Because the bloodline of the Yu family was very special, many people had ideas about her. Because of this idea of keeping a low profile, she didn't chase this Suryu away. Otherwise she might have killed him with a slap. Seeing that the beauty didn't reject him, this Suryu was even more proud and began to show off. In the valley, the others were chased away. Get lost, our Sir is here to admire the flowers. Everyone else, get lost. Many people were forced to retreat. Some of the stronger ones stayed, but they were very far away. The howling moon demon wolf sat at the entrance of the valley, its powerful body suppressing the area. The Yu family was very strong. This time they had brought many saints, so ordinary people didn't dare to provoke them. The valley in front should be the falling flowers. Lin Xian and the others also walked over. There were many people outside the valley. It seemed that many people were admiring the flowers. But when they arrived, they found that something was wrong. These people were only outside and didn't dare to go in. Looking carefully, they found that there was a demon wolf at the entrance of the valley. No wonder the others didn't dare to go in. The demon wolf was blocking the entrance. And it seemed that this group of people's identities were not simple. Kid, what should we do? The dark red dragon looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, what can we do? We're here to admire the flowers. No one can stand in our way. Previously, the other party had mocked them. At that time, Lin Xian didn't care. How could a swallow know the ambitions of a swan, so he didn't care. Now, he didn't expect the other party to be so arrogant. They directly blocked the path and didn't let others admire the flowers. Chapter 3561. That brat actually went up. Many people exclaimed. 3 first firmament people were too ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth, right? That's right. Not to mention whether they could beat the howling moon demon wolf or not. Even if they could, would they dare to make a move? Ignorant of life and death. Someone sneered. Of course, there were also people who kindly reminded that the 3 of you must not go over. That was the Yu family. Didn't you see that even ordinary second firmament saints did not dare to oppose them? The 3 of you should not go over and court death. Regarding the discussions of those people around, Lin Xian and the rest did not pay attention to them at all, walking forward in large strides. Very soon they arrived at the front of the valley. In front of the valley, the howling moon demon wolf raised its huge head and looked at Lin Xian trio. Its eyes were filled with thick disdain. 3 ants scram. It spoke human language, its voice like thunder. The surrounding people shook their heads and sighed. These 3 people were really too ignorant of life and death. Already reminded it that that was the Yu family's young master, and the other party actually still dared to go up. Looks like there should be 3 more corpses. A wolf cub actually also dares to be arrogant in front of this emperor. Who gave you the guts? The dark red divine dragon laughed coldly and directly roared. Dragon blood surged, instantly enveloping the howling moon demon wolf entirely. The howling moon demon wolf originally still wanted to show its might and finish off the three ants. But in the next instant, it was enveloped by this aura. Immediately, it was frightened until its entire body turned cold, directly prostrating on the ground. This shocking scene left everyone dumbfounded. What was the situation? The howling moon demon wolf was actually prostrating on the ground. It shouldn't be. One had to know that this was young Master Yu's mount. Normally, even when encountering second firmament saints, it would not take them seriously. Could be said that it was used to strutting around. At this moment, why was it prostrating in front of three first firmament saints? They had yet to figure it out when they saw Lin Xian walk up. With a kick, he directly sent the howling moon demon wolf flying. The howling moon demon wolf cried out miserably. Its body was like a meteor crashing into the valley. Fuck. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Who was this person? So fierce. Even though the howling moon demon wolf was not big in size, it was still a rare breed after all. The strength of its body was absolutely terrifying. Ordinary saints of the same level would not be able to break through his defense at all. But now, there was actually someone who could send him flying with a kick. This young man was incredible. Someone sneered. He dared to hit young Master Yu's mount. He was dead meat. Offending the Yu family, he reckoned that he would not be able to walk out of this valley alive. Boom. An earthquake came from the valley. The howling moon demon wolf crashed into the ground, causing countless cracks to appear on the ground. Miserable cries could be heard, and the valley was in a state of chaos. Clearly, the people in the valley did not expect such a scene. Young Master Yu was also stunned. His mind was blank. What was going on? His mount had been sent flying by someone? Furthermore, he was severely injured. In the next moment he screamed, "Damn it, who is it? Who dares to attack my mount? Get over here and accept your death." The others also looked at each other. It seemed like there was going to be a good show to watch. Where did this dog come from? How dare he block our way? A faint voice came from outside the valley. Then Lin Xian and the other two walked over. "Damn it, it's you guys." Young Master Yu saw Lin Xian at a glance. His face immediately turned completely gloomy. "It was you guys who attacked my mount?" His eyes surfaced with a piercing killing intent. Regarding these three people he still had an impression. Because a few days ago he had once met these three people. At that time these three people were still yearning to be great ancient emperors. He mocked them in disdain. Three first firmament ants daydreaming like this. What fools. It was just that he did not expect that today, these three people were actually so daring to injure his mount. No matter what, he would not let these three people off. "The three of you kneel down and kowtow to my mount to apologize. I can give you guys an intact corpse." Regarding this kind of threat, Lin Xian did not care at all. "You guys better apologize to me obediently first, then bring your people and get out of this valley. Don't disturb my mood of admiring flowers. Otherwise your outcome will be very miserable." Threatening me? Young Master Yu was stunned. Everyone in the surroundings was stunned. They had not seen such a scene for many years already. Someone actually dared to threaten young Master Yu. Was he tired of living? Young Master Yu was so angry that he laughed. "Good lad, it has been many years since anyone dared to say such things to me. You are the first. I will make you pay a painful price. Men catch him and break his limbs. I will pull out his tendons and skin him. I will train him to be my second mount. This is the consequence of offending me." Hearing young Master Yu's words, the surrounding people were so frightened that their scalps went numb. This was simply a demon. "Yes, young master." Two sages walked up. One of the sages stretched out his hand and grabbed at Lin Xian. His expression was incomparably cold and disdainful. "Sigh. I already said that I don't want to attack, but you guys don't know what's good for you. I have no choice." Lin Xian shook his head. He did not attack, but the dark red divine dragon and the north demon beside him did. The dark red divine dragon slapped with his claw. "You bastard, how dare you attack me?" His dragon claw collided with the other party's palm. The sound of bones breaking could be heard, and the laws of heaven and earth were shattered. Screams rang out. The sage's hand was directly shattered. He screamed as he retreated. On the other side, the north demon also punched and sent the sage who had rushed over flying. In the blink of an eye, two of the Yu family's sages were injured. No one dared to believe this scene. Young Master Yu's expression darkened. He was incomparably savage. "Damn it, what are you guys doing? Can't you even deal with three ants? Just kill them directly. There's no need to hold back." He was winning the heart of the beauty. He had already pretended to be impressive. Now, someone actually dared to destroy his noble image. How could he tolerate this? If he couldn't even deal with 2 or 3 ants, what would this masked woman in front of him think of him? Hence he was furious. The sages under him instantly charged over. 5 sages surrounded Lin Xian and the others. On the other side, Wuxia was also shocked. It was him. She also saw Lin Xian. She didn't expect him to also come to admire the flowers. What a coincidence. But looking at the other party, it seemed like he was in endless trouble. Oh my, he still dares to attack and kill us? The dark red divine dragon laughed coldly. North Demon, the 2 of us don't need to hold back. The 2 of them charged up and stood together with the 5 sages. The battle was very intense, but it ended quickly. Sage Wuzun was beaten up like a dead dog. He fell to the ground and kept screaming. The dark red divine dragon and the North Demon stood in the void and laughed coldly. Everyone went crazy. These 2 saints of the first celestial layer were too strong, right? They could actually fight 2 against 5. It was simply unbelievable. You guys, young Master Yu was scared silly. The sages under him were all sent flying. This was simply too unbelievable. Chapter 3562. Soon he calmed down and sneered. You have some tricks up your sleeve, but so what? I'm from the Yu clan. Do you dare to touch me? After he finished speaking, he was enveloped by a large golden hand that grabbed him. Lin Xian grabbed him and sneered. What? Do you think I don't dare to touch you? The last time you provoked me, I was in a good mood and spared your life. Now you want to kill me. Looks like I have to teach you a lesson on behalf of the Yu clan, you good-for-nothing thing. How dare you touch me? Young Master Yu screamed crazily. He had never encountered such a situation. However, the answer he got was a slap. With a smack, half of his face was smashed into mush. Why wouldn't I dare? Although Lin Xian didn't say anything, he used his actions to prove his point. After the first slap, there was a second and third slap. Crisp slaps were heard. After young Master Yu's face was smashed, it recovered immediately. However, it was smashed again. This scene was too shocking. Everyone was dumbfounded. That was young Master Yu, the young master of the Yu clan. He was high and mighty and looked down on everyone. At this moment he was being held by the neck and slapped crazily. Young master. The surrounding sages screamed again. Their young master was being beaten. They rushed over crazily. However, they were all sent flying by Lin Xian with a slap. Many sages' bodies were smashed. Their sage blood danced between heaven and earth. Young Master Yu was dumbfounded. This young man in front of him was definitely a heaven-defying genius. Therefore he quickly begged for mercy. Hero, please spare my life. I was wrong. I'll apologize to you. In the face of death, pride and dignity were all useless. No matter how arrogant young Master Yu was before, he had to bow to Lin Xian now. Oh, apologize? How are you going to compensate me? Lin Xian stopped. Seeing that he was no longer being beaten, young Master Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He said, I was in the wrong today. I offended the hero. I'll compensate you. I'll give you 10,000 caddies of divine crystals. How about that? 10,000 caddies? Do you think I'm a beggar? The dark red divine dragon snorted coldly. The boarding fee was 10,000 caddies of divine crystals. This was not enough at all. Then I'll give you 50,000 kilograms. Young Master gritted his teeth. 50,000 was already a lot. Many people were moved. It seemed like young Master Yu was really going to beg for mercy. However, Lin Xian waved his hand. 500,000 and I'll spare your life. What 500,000 caddies? Young Master Yu screamed. This is robbery. One must know that back when he bought the 3,000 ancestral green gold, he had only spent 50,000 jin. Now that he had 500,000 jin, how many precious metals and materials could he buy? It was definitely enough to make those sages go crazy. Sure enough, the eyes of the surrounding people instantly turned red. They couldn't believe that this kid was asking for too much. What? The dignified Yu family's young master could not even take out 500,000 caddies of divine crystals? How disappointing. In that case, I can only continue to educate you. With that, Lin Xian raised his golden hand. Seeing this scene, young Master Yu was so frightened that he trembled. He was about to cry. He was not willing to be slapped in the face in public again. Moreover, he was unable to resist at all. However, he really wasn't willing to take out 500,000 caddies of divine crystals. Therefore, he cried and said, Hero, I didn't bring so many divine crystals with me when I came out. Why don't you let me go and I'll gather some? He was obviously trying to escape. How could Lin Xian not understand? he said with a smile. You didn't bring so many with you, right? As he said that, he waved his hand. A biting cold sword light accompanied by the law flew out. It directly split the howling moon demon wolf beside him into two halves. The howling moon demon wolf screamed and its body twitched. Its soul was directly destroyed and it couldn't be reborn at all. Everyone was stunned by this scene. What a terrifying method. Young Master Yu was so frightened that he wet his pants. He was so frightened that he trembled all over. This person in front of him could destroy the howling moon demon wolf's body and soul with one move. He reckoned that killing him was also a matter of a sword. Thinking of this, his eyes were filled with horror and he stuttered. Now have you brought them all? Lin Xian asked. Yes, I brought them all. Young Master Yu kept nodding. He took off his storage ring and said, there are about 200,000 caddies of divine crystals in it. The rest are some medicinal pills, cultivation technique manuals, natural treasures and so on. They should be worth 200,000 caddies of divine crystals. I'll get my subordinates to gather the remaining 100,000 caddies. As he said that, he turned his head and looked at the 5 sages. The 5 of you quickly hand over your storage rings. Young Master, the 5 sages were obviously unwilling. Damn it, do you want me to die? Young Master Yu roared crazily. Sage Wuzun had no choice but to throw out his storage ring. Young Master Yu said, these should be enough for 500,000 caddies of divine crystals. Lin Xian threw it to the dark red divine dragon. The dark red divine dragon glanced at it and nodded slightly. Lin Xian said, don't be too arrogant, especially outside. Your family can't protect you, understand? Understood. Young Master Yu nodded desperately, but he was gritting his teeth. Damn it, I've completely lost this time. I must get back my face. Lin Xian said again, I'll spare your life this time. But if you dare to provoke me again, I won't hesitate to destroy your body and soul. I don't care which family you're from. Speaking of this, a cold murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Young Master Yu was scared out of his wits. He felt like he was surrounded by a sea of blood. What kind of murderous intent is this? Who is this guy? Why is he releasing such a terrifying murderous intent? The surrounding people were also trembling, their faces filled with fear. Alright, you can get lost now. Lin Xian waved his hand and young Master Yu hurriedly left with his men. This scene made everyone inside and outside the valley gasp. They thought that the 3 first heaven cultivators would definitely die after offending young Master Yu. Who would have thought that the unlucky one would be young Master Yu? Not only was he slapped, but he also had to pay 500,000 caddies of divine crystals. For a moment, everyone was guessing who these 3 people were. Within the crowd, a man with a pale face looked like he was sick. He looked at Lin Xian and sneered. How dare you be so arrogant? You'll die soon. Buzz. As if he felt a murderous intent, Lin Xian suddenly turned his head and looked behind him. The people behind him were shocked. They didn't retreat. Lin Xian glanced around and frowned. He realized that the murderous intent had disappeared without a trace. What's wrong? Northern Demon asked. Lin Xian said, someone seemed to be staring at me just now, but the gaze was burning. Could it be someone from the Yu family? Dark Red Divine Dragon asked. Lin Xian shook his head. I'm not sure yet. He turned his head and looked ahead. Fairy Yu, what a coincidence. You're admiring the flowers too. Yu Shurqia nodded. Yes, what a coincidence to meet young master again. I have to thank you. What are you thanking me for? It's nothing. Chapter 3563. She said, I want to thank you for reminding me about the necklace. Have you discovered the secret of the necklace? Yu Shurqia nodded. She had already discovered it, but it was too late. Still, she wanted to thank her. Lin Xian wanted to ask a few more questions, but Yu Shurqia didn't seem to be in the mood to admire the flowers. She nodded slightly and left. After Yu Shurqia left, a man in a black robe in the crowd sneered and disappeared. No one noticed this. On the other side, Lin Xian frowned. It was too late. What did that mean? Could it be that the person who followed Yu Shurqia had already arrived on the Milky Way? He was very confused about this, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Yu Shurqia's status was obviously not ordinary. Even if there was trouble, he didn't need to do anything. Not long after this, an old man walked over. Lin Xian recognized him. He was one of Yu Shurqia's guards. Lin Xian was very surprised by his arrival. The old man's expression was serious. Mr. Lin, you've met my young miss a few times. Is it intentional or is it fate? Lin Xian frowned. What did that mean? Did he suspect him? As expected, the dark red dragon snorted. Old man, you don't know the rules. We're the ones who saved your little big sis, okay? You don't have any gratitude at all. How dare you threaten us? It's not a threat, it's a warning. I hope you can keep a distance from our young miss. This is for your own good. I think you're overthinking. The first time was because of the trip to Blue Moon. The second time was because of the Yun family. The third time is this time. I'm here to admire the flowers. I'm not here for your Yu family. This is for the best. With that, the old man turned, tore open the void and left. Lin Xian frowned slightly, but he didn't care. The dark red dragon was furious. Fuck, good intentions were treated as bad intentions. Lin Xian waved his hand. Forget it, it was best to keep a distance. They were probably being watched. Let's not get involved in this mess. Let's take care of the flowers. The jade fall flower was very beautiful and contained a mysterious aura. It could allow Lin Xian and the others to comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth. Furthermore, after Lin Xian chased young Master Yu away, there were more and more people in the valley. After a few days, Lin Xian left. On the other side, Fairy Rain returned to her palace. Elderly, did you look for young Master Lin? Yes, I warned him to keep his distance from us. Since he is too flamboyant and has offended too many people. Although he is Lin Wudi, he is no longer in the first astral realm. The more people he offends, the more attention he will attract. Now that we are being followed, we shouldn't be too conspicuous. Therefore it was very wise to keep a distance. Yu Shijie nodded and didn't say anything. Indeed, she had been feeling uneasy for the past few days. She kept feeling as if there was a pair of eyes staring at her. However, even after searching the entire Milky Way, she still couldn't find who the suspicious person was. Until now, she felt that everyone was suspicious. Therefore she just shut herself in. After admiring the sky-falling flowers, Lin Xian and the others also went back. After about 10 days it became lively again. It turned out that some people had teamed up to organize a small banquet. Firstly, it was too boring on the Milky Way. Secondly, there was still a year before they reached the second astral realm. Therefore it was best for everyone to gather and get to know each other. This banquet was held in a huge palace near the Milky Way. Many young prodigies were preparing to go. After all, they were all going to the second astral realm. They were unfamiliar with the place, so they naturally had to stick together. Lin Xian and the others naturally went as well. After arriving, they realized that there were many people. He looked around and didn't see the masked woman. It seemed that she didn't come. Next they found a place. The three of them sat down and waited for the banquet to begin. After the banquet began, Lin Xian felt a little bored. Because these people were flattering each other and forming cliques. There wasn't much that was really valuable. As for the strength of these people, he glanced at them and shook his head slightly. Among the younger generation there wasn't anyone that caught his eye. However, among them there were two people that surprised him. One of them was a man with a pale face who looked like he was sick. When he saw him, the other party turned his head and didn't look at him. He only saw the side of his face and back, which made him feel very strange. Because he felt that he had seen him somewhere before, but he couldn't remember where. The other person was a man in a black robe. He sat there very leisurely and calmly, as if he was a king who ruled over everything. He coldly looked at the entire hall. When Lin Xian looked at him, the other party also looked at him with a shocking light in his eyes. This person was not simple. Lin Xian was astonished. Someone who could pique his interest was definitely a genius of a region. However, he didn't know him, nor had he heard of such a person in any of the major sections. The banquet was quite boring. Lin Xian and the others were about to leave, but at this time someone said loudly, "Everyone, after chatting for so long, why don't I tell you about the second astral realm?" The second astral realm. Hearing this, everyone was interested and walked towards that person. Lin Xian and the others were also stunned. They stopped and sat back down. They originally wanted to leave, but now that there was news about the second astral realm, they might as well stay and listen. The person who spoke was on the Milky Way. He often traveled between the first and second astral realms. Therefore he knew a little about the second astral realm. Everyone couldn't wait to ask. Which sects are the most powerful in the second week? Your question is too broad. The second astral realm is very vast. If you want to ask about the most powerful sects, I really don't know. Actually, I only know a rough idea. Let me tell you this. The most powerful sects in the second astral realm are those who are famous. For example, Wuxia City, which is preparing to accept disciples this time, is one of the most famous sections. They have a saint throne. Generally, the top saint cities are like this. One level lower is the Saint Venerable. Although they are not as powerful as the Saint King, they are still extremely terrifying. Saint King and Saint Venerable. Everyone gasped. To them, these were legendary figures. They were like immortals. Then, who are the more famous geniuses in the second astral realm? Someone asked again. As soon as this question came out, everyone was interested again. Well, I do know a little about this. Listen carefully. The man cleared his throat and looked at the excited and worshipful eyes of the crowd. It was really cool to be the center of attention. Chapter 3564. The Rain Clan was extremely powerful. Occupied 2 star worlds. In the Rain Clan, the most famous geniuses were their princess and young master. The princess of the Rain Clan, Wuxia, was incomparably beautiful and charming. Moreover, her bloodline was very special. It was the most famous 10,000 spirit bloodline in the Rain Clan. The Rain Clan's bloodline was originally very special. Water nourished all living things. Therefore, if one married a member of the Rain Clan for a long time and cultivated, it would have a great effect on one's strength. Therefore, in the Rain Clan, regardless of gender, they were very popular. Especially the disciples of the other large clans and sects, they wished they could marry a beauty or a genius of the Rain Clan. Wuxia's 10,000 spirit bloodline was the most powerful one among them. Therefore, the number of people who pursued her could probably circle the planet 3 times. She also had a younger brother who was even more extraordinary. He was called Wuxia. He was not old, but his strength was extremely strong. He was already a 3rd heavenly layer saint. That man roughly explained the situation of the Rain Clan, causing the people in the main hall to be dumbstruck. Were the women of the Rain Clan so mysterious? When they married, they could actually improve themselves and even change their life level and bloodline. No, wait until I reach the 2nd heavenly realm. I must find a way to marry a beauty of the Rain Clan. The effect of ordinary Rain Clan disciples would definitely be weak. Only extremely talented people would have a significant effect. For example, the legendary Wuxia. If I could get her, many people laughed. Idiot. The man in black who looked down on the main hall sneered. Others also said that such a person should not think about it. Unless one was a peerless genius, it would be impossible to get her. As expected, the man who introduced them laughed. You guys don't have any ideas about Wuxia. The experts of the 2nd heavenly realm are all watching. You guys should cultivate for a few hundred years first. Many people were silent. However, there were also people who refuted. Were the people of the 2nd heavenly realm really so powerful? Yes, they were indeed very powerful. The 2nd heavenly realm was divided into 2 types of people. The first type was the native clans and sects of the 2nd heavenly realm. Think about it, they all had Saint Venerables and Saint Kings. Their inheritance and foundation was not something we could compare to. When these words were spoken, the others also agreed. After all, a small saint had appeared in their clan. Saint Venerables were more powerful than small saints, let alone Saint Kings. The second kind of people are geniuses who have stepped onto the ancient path of the starry sky. They're rushing from the 1st star realm to the 2nd star realm, just like you. Although they might not be able to show their talents immediately, they would definitely be able to make a name for themselves in the 2nd astral realm as long as they had the strength and talent to do so. For example, there is a person that you are very familiar with. He has already made a name for himself in the 2nd astral realm. Is it someone from our 1st astral realm? Many people asked. That person smiled. That's right, that was indeed the case. Who was it? The crowd was puzzled. Yan Nantian? Lin Wuxia? This was a person whose name resounded throughout the 1st star realm. However, when they thought about it, it was impossible. The 2 of them had probably never been to the 2nd astral realm. Who was that? They were extremely puzzled. Diling. You should be familiar with this person. What? Diling. Everyone exclaimed. How could they not know this person? This was the first person on the Abyss rankings. Until now he was still number 1. That's right. Lin Wuxia was so powerful. Back then he was only tied with him for 1st place. Moreover, Lin Wuxia was a latecomer. This Diling who knew how many years he had cultivated earlier than him. Now that Lin Wuxia was already so powerful, that Diling was probably even more terrifying. Was he already so famous in the 2nd astral realm? That's right. Diling was very famous. Previously I told you about Wuxia. You should all know about her, right? In the 2nd astral realm, it was rumored that among the younger generation, only Diling was worthy of Wuxia. Was he so powerful? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. At the same time they were extremely excited. They must go to the 2nd astral realm and make a name for themselves. After Lin Xian heard this, he was also surprised. Although he had never seen Diling before, he had always heard of his legend. Indeed, when he had just stepped onto the ancient path of the starry sky, the other party had already resounded throughout the star realm. At that time, the other party was ranked number 1 on the Abyss rankings. It could be said that Di Sheng surpassed everything. Di and Yin Nantian only started to make a name for themselves later on. And at that time, Di Ling had probably already left this place and went to the second astral realm. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. It seemed that in the second astral realm, he would be able to meet this legendary Di Ling for a while. What perfect match. It was just a bunch of nonsense. Right at this moment, a cold snort sounded. Who was it? Everyone cried out in surprise. Could it be that someone else knew the news? The man on the Milky Way also frowned. He also sneered. Who was there to refute? Could it be that what I said was wrong? Everyone in the second astral realm knew about this matter. No my ass. Di Ling was powerful. However, to want to get you sure Chia just based on this, these words were said too early. Moreover, how many things could the crew on the Milky Way know? These are just some of the most basic rumors. This time, everyone finally heard clearly where this voice came from. They turned their heads and saw a man in a black robe sitting there, looking at them with a cold and arrogant face. Hearing this, the man on the Milky Way was provoked. He snorted coldly. You dare to question my words? He stood up, his body emitting a powerful aura. However, the man in the black robe sneered. I advise you not to fight with me. Otherwise you will die a terrible death. There was a terrifying killing intent between heaven and earth that swept out. Moreover, the man on the Milky Way instantly retreated, his face pale. In that instant he felt like he was about to die. The other party was very strong and could even kill him instantly. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to stay here any longer. Instead he muttered, "What bad luck." As he said that, he turned around and left as if he was running away. Hey, don't go. Tell me more about the second astral realm. The surrounding people shouted, but the other party seemed to be determined to leave. They had no choice. They sighed and looked to the other side. They discovered that unknowingly, the man in the black robe had also disappeared. They were just getting excited from listening. They didn't expect him to stop talking. That's right, other than the Rain clan and Di Ling, who else were there? Forget it, let's not talk about the second astral realm. Let's talk about our first astral realm. Everyone, let's talk about how many people from our first astral realm can make a name for themselves in the second astral realm. Chapter 3565. It's hard to say. It depends on one's fate. But I feel that there are a few people and it shouldn't be a problem. For example, Lin Wuti. With his strength and talent, if he went to the second star realm, he would definitely be able to make a name for himself. Maybe he would be like Di Ling and make a name for himself again. The pitiful 6 big sects went against Lin Wuti and were forced to seal their mountains for 500 years. Otherwise, if the 6 big sects sent their geniuses there, they would have a high chance of rising up. That's right, that was a place that one had to pass through on the ancient path. It was a pity that they couldn't go there now. Talking about Lin Wuti, they had to talk about the 6 big sections. Everyone was discussing and Lin Xian listened by the side, his eyes shining. At this moment, another voice snorted. What Lin Wuti? Bullsh*T. He just used some tricks. If it was a head-on battle, how could he defeat the 6 big sects? Not to mention the 6 big sects, any expert from the 6 big sects would be able to destroy him. Fuck, who is this? How dare he say such things? The surrounding people gasped. They didn't expect that someone would dare to slander Lin Wuti and speak up for the 6 big sections. Was he courting death? Instantly someone laughed coldly. Who was spouting nonsense there? Didn't he know that the 6 big sects had sealed their mountains? That's right, if the 6 big sects were so powerful, why would they be attacked and forced to seal their mountains? Speaking of which mountain valley did you come from? Don't tell me you don't even know about this? There were no more 6 big sects now. Damn it, you guys are spouting nonsense. Someone roared and stood up abruptly. A strong flame aura emanated from his body and engulfed the entire hall. Damn it, you dare to lay your hands on us? The others were enraged and turned their heads to look. They saw a pale man who looked like he was sick standing there. His eyes were burning and the flames on his body kept jumping. He had a strong and terrifying aura. Those people also saw the pale man. Then they were puzzled. Who was this person? He looked unfamiliar. Someone immediately sneered. Do you dare to say that we're wrong? Who in the younger generation can compete with Lin Wuti? Lin Wuti was indeed strong, but he was not truly invincible. Moreover, he walked the path of the great emperor. It wasn't just the younger generation. He wanted to compete with everyone. Although he was strong now, it did not mean that he could survive forever. The pale-faced man's voice was ice-cold. From the looks of it, this person was unwilling to submit to Lin Wuti. Everyone was discussing animatedly, and even Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had noticed this person before, and he felt that the other party's aura was extraordinary. He didn't expect the other party to say such words at this moment. After saying so much, how is your own strength? Come out and fight if you have the ability. The dark red dragon jumped out. He would not allow anyone to speak ill of Lin Xian behind his back. You. The pale-faced man stared at the dark red divine dragon and sneered. You're no match for me. Let him come personally. As he said that, he looked at Lin Xian. Lin Wuti, you're already here. Hearing so many people talking about you, aren't you proud? I'll personally teach you how to pluck your head off later. I'll show these people that the legendary Lin Wuti is not that great after all. What, that person is Lin Wuti? Everyone was in an uproar and they all turned to look at Lin Xian. There were legends of Lin Wuti in the universe, but not everyone had seen Lin Xian before. Hence, everyone was shocked when they heard the news. Lin Wuti was actually on the same boat as them and he was sitting right beside them. Wasn't this too shocking? That's right, I'm the Lin Wuti you're talking about. Since he had been recognized, Lin Xian stood up and looked at the other party. Are you sure you want to fight me? That's right, not only am I going to fight you, I'm going to kill you personally. Today will be the day of your death. Terrifying flames appeared on the pale-faced man's body, shooting straight into the sky. The entire space was completely distorted. Everyone felt the destructive power and frantically retreated. A hint of shock appeared in their eyes. What a terrifying aura. What was going on with this person's power? They were really shocked. This person looked very young, but the great Tao of heaven and earth was unparalleled. It was beyond their understanding. Could it be that he was a third heaven sage? They sucked in a breath of cold air. In the first astral realm, there was a young person who had cultivated to the third heaven? It was too unbelievable. One had to know that there had been third heaven sages before, such as Lei Qianzhong, but that was someone from the second astral realm, or even someone from the sacred city. Now, there was a third heaven sage on the Milky Way and he wanted to kill Lin Wuti. Lin Xian also frowned. What a terrifying law of heaven and earth. Why did the aura of the flames feel so familiar? But for a moment he really couldn't remember who it was. But he still said, since you want to fight, then let's fight. Golden light appeared on his body as the 9-yang divine body bloomed, making him look like a god of war. But the pale-faced man didn't say anything. He waved his hand and endless flames condensed into a vermilion bird. It quickly flew over and engulfed the entire world. Everyone was frightened and retreated. The sages were all pushed far away, their faces full of fear. Lin Xian's pupils shrank to the size of needles. Vermilion bird divine fist. You're from the Vermilion Bird Palace. He finally understood what this familiar aura was. It was the aura of the Vermilion Bird's flames. But he quickly dodged and at the same time he raised his hand and slapped out a blue stone tablet. It was completely condensed from waves and directly suppressed the Vermilion Bird. Boom boom boom. The two roared and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The laws collided continuously. The Vermilion Bird roared at the sky and directly sent the blue wave stone tablet flying. Then it looked down at Lin Xian from above. What, Lin Wuti? You're just SOSO. Today you're going to die. How terrifying. It could actually break Lin Wuti's attack. The people in the distance were shocked. Even the dark red divine dragon and the northern devil were incomparably shocked. Who was this person? Kid, do you have a clue? Lin Xian shook his head. The Vermilion Bird Palace's people were very strong, and their laws were terrifying. They didn't seem like the younger generation. The most powerful of the younger generation was Yan Nantian, but he had already been killed by him. There was also the Vermilion Bird Holy Sun, who was simply not enough. But now, the young man in front of him had clearly surpassed the Vermilion Bird Holy Sun, and even Yan Nantian. Not to mention that even Lei Qianzhong probably couldn't compare to this person in front of him. Did the Vermilion Bird Palace really have such a powerful younger generation? If they did, how could they have fallen to such a state? Kid, don't think about it. You'll never guess who I am. Just obediently accept your death. As he spoke, the flames on that person's body were incomparable. They turned into 4 vermilion bird phantoms and circled again. The 4 vermilion birds stood in 4 different directions and locked down the space around Lin Xian, sealing the space around him. Chapter 3566. This was a terrifying ability that could burn everything in the world. A level 3 cultivator would definitely die inside, and it could even threaten a level 4 cultivator. Boom. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. With a roar, sword chi surged and the great destruction spear danced in the air, breaking through the void. However, the 4 vermilion bird phantoms locked onto him, as if they really wanted to burn him to ashes. Terrifying flames wrapped around his divine body, and for a moment the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Lin Xian pushed his power, striking out with the 5 elements law. The terrifying sword of law, together with the great destruction spear, broke the 4 vermilion birds. Lin Xian charged out, extremely powerful. At this moment the entire hall had collapsed and the surrounding people had all left. Who dared to attack on the Milky Way? On the Milky Way the law enforcement team quickly flew over. They came with a powerful array to suppress the situation. Although the Milky Way was huge, it couldn't withstand the crazy attacks of the Saints, so fighting was not allowed on the ship. Now that someone dared to break their rules, they would not hesitate to kill the person. I didn't want to attack, but someone wanted to kill me. Lin Xian stood in the void and said coldly. On the other side the pale-faced man sneered. 2 balls of flames appeared in his eyes. Then 81 balls of flames appeared. They twisted into an array in the air, directly wrapping him and Lin Xian. The next moment the void was torn apart. The 2 of them disappeared without a trace. Damn it, what happened? The dark red dragon roared, and the northern demon's face turned cold. He stared at the people on the Milky Way. The law enforcement team frowned and snorted. It wasn't us, it was that pale-faced man. That should be a teleportation array. They had probably left the Milky Way. What, they left the Milky Way? The dark red dragon and the northern demon's faces turned ugly. The surrounding people were also shocked. They looked around and sure enough someone exclaimed, "Look outside." These saints' eyes flashed across the sky like lightning. They saw that outside the Milky Way in the chaotic star sea, there were 2 more figures. It was Lin Xian and the pale-faced man. At this moment, the 2 of them were already fighting, and monstrous waves were stirred up in all directions. Damn it, stop. The dark red dragon roared. The people on the Milky Way said coldly. Stop the ship? What a joke. That was impossible. Since that kid had already left, there was no possibility of him coming back. The 2 of you should accept your fate. Don't look for trouble. Otherwise we will directly teleport you out. Damn it, this emperor will fight it out with you. The dark red dragon roared, wanting to attack. However, he was stopped by the North Demon. Don't get too excited. Believe in Lin Xian. You will definitely be fine. We will wait for him here. He would definitely come back. Upon hearing this, the dark red divine dragon gradually calmed down. He began to set up an array formation in preparation to receive Lin Xian. On the other side, Lin Xian was wrapped in 81 flames and brought out of the Milky Way, arriving outside the chaotic star sea. Damn it, you actually dared to bring me out. Don't you want to go to the Earth 2-star realm? Lin Xian asked coldly. The pale-faced man laughed maniacally. The 2nd-star realm? I have no interest in that. My target has always been you. The reason I boarded the Milky Way was to kill you. Damn kid, you actually dared to make me lose so many disciples. I will definitely not let you off. As his voice fell, the pale-faced man's aura erupted once again. He directly reached the 4th heaven, the Sage Realm. Terrifying fire laws swept through the world. A sea region of the chaotic star sea turned into a sea of fire. 4th heaven, who exactly are you? Lin Xian asked coldly. Kid, I will let you die with understanding. The pale-faced young man shouted coldly. His face began to change. He gradually grew older and finally turned into a middle-aged man's face. When he saw this face, Lin Xian was stunned. He was extremely familiar with this face. It's you? Vermilion Bird Palace Master. He really didn't expect that the other party was actually the Vermilion Bird Palace Master. But this was impossible. Wasn't the other party killed in Vermilion Bird Town? How could he still be alive? He did not doubt the power of the Holy Slayer formation. After that battle, he was sure that no one had survived. At this time, Black Mountain said telepathically. The Vermilion Bird Palace should have cultivated the Vermilion Bird Super Technique. The Vermilion Bird and the Phoenix are related, so they should have some rebirth techniques. The Palace Master of the Vermilion Bird Palace must have used this kind of rebirth technique to survive and preserve his life. If I remember correctly, he should have been a 5th heaven sage. Now that he has been reborn, his cultivation has dropped by 2 heavens. Now that he is at the 4th heaven, he should have activated a secret technique and can't maintain it for long. So that's how it is. Lin Xian understood. Then he sneered. I didn't expect you to have this kind of rebirth secret technique. If you had obediently returned, you might have been able to keep your life. But you don't know what's good for you and dare to kill me? You actually know. The Vermilion Bird Palace Master was stunned. He did know a rebirth technique. That day he was killed by the Holy Slayer formation. Before he died, he activated a secret technique and turned into a Vermilion Bird Stone. In the end he survived. Later he broke out of the Vermilion Bird Stone and his cultivation dropped by 2 heavens. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't be able to recover without 1 or 2,000 years. This price could be said to be very painful. But in order to kill the other party he couldn't care less. Now that he had used a secret technique to raise his cultivation to the 4th heaven, he didn't believe that the other party could still survive. Kid, without that formation, let's see what you have to fight me with. The Vermilion Bird Palace Master waved his hand and drew 9 Vermilion Bird Divine Feathers. They bloomed in the air. Each one was like a peerless divine sword, emitting a terrifying light. If you had continued to hide your identity, I might have let you live a little longer. But now that your identity has been exposed, I don't have any reason to let you live. Since that's the case, there's no need for me to keep you alive. I'll kill you today. Lin Xian didn't delay. He took out the Great Sage Pagoda. He didn't want to waste time with the other party because he still had to return to the Milky Way. The longer he delayed, the more dangerous it would be. After all, he had just seen the apocalyptic octopus appear a few days ago. If he encountered such an existence, there was no way he could escape. So after taking out the Great Sage Pagoda, he opened the Great Sage Pagoda. The astral fire inside was mobilized by him. Do you really think that I don't have any tricks up my sleeve? Damn it, how can you still have that kind of flame? The Vermilion Bird Palace Master's expression changed instantly. The smugness and arrogance from before were all gone, replaced by fear. How could he forget that flame? Previously, it was this flame that was used in conjunction with a peerless formation to completely destroy the 6 major sections. But at that time he guessed that the other party couldn't possibly have that kind of flame anymore. Chapter 3567. At this moment, the Vermilion Bird Palace Master was very decisive. He controlled the 9 Vermilion Bird Divine Feathers and quickly escaped. Previously, his confidence in himself was based on his absolute cultivation and strength, but Lin Xian's trump card was beyond his expectations. He didn't dare to fight against the other party. You want to leave? Can you? Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a monstrous space fire flew out. The Vermilion Bird Palace Master screamed. The 9 Vermilion Bird Divine Feathers formed a sword formation to block, while his main body fled crazily. Boom. Lin Xian used the Kuan-Ping movement technique and quickly chased after the Vermilion Bird Palace Master. He attacked again, and the space fire wrapped around the Vermilion Bird Palace Master. Damn it, get lost. The Vermilion Bird Palace Master screamed. He stretched out his palms and 2 vermilion birds roared. But they were still burned. He was burned miserably by the space fire. Damn brat, if you have the ability, don't use fire. Fight me one-on-one. He screamed crazily. Are you out of your mind? Why are you saying such things? Lin Xian sneered. The other party had lived for nearly 3,000 years, and he wanted to fight a person who was not even 100 years old? What a joke. He wouldn't be so stupid. Soon, the Vermilion Bird Palace Master couldn't resist at all and was completely burned to ashes by the space fire. This time, Lin Xian attacked again with a dragon-shaped sword Qi, and the ashes of the Vermilion Bird Palace Master were shattered, making it impossible for the Vermilion Bird Palace Master to be reborn. After killing the Vermilion Bird Princess, Lin Xian returned and sealed the 9 Vermilion Bird Divine Feathers. Then he turned into a light sword and quickly shuttled through the chaotic star sea. He had to return to the Milky Way as soon as possible. The Milky Way. Those people had already dispersed. They knew that even Lin Wudi wouldn't be able to survive after falling into the chaotic star sea. Many people sighed. Was Lin Wudi going to die like this? It was really surprising. The North Demon and the Dark Red Dragon were extremely anxious. Time passed slowly and the Milky Way's speed was extremely fast. They were indeed not confident. But at this moment, they suddenly saw a stream of light flying over from afar. It's here, it's finally here. The Dark Red Dragon was overjoyed, and the Northern Devil heaved a sigh of relief. Everyone else also looked over. Heavens, he was actually still alive. How could he? Everyone was incomparably shocked. Had Lin Wudi already defeated his opponent? That was a saint of the 4th heaven. Not necessarily. It was possible that Lin Wudi had escaped. It was rumored that his movement technique was very powerful. Perhaps he could escape from the chaotic star seas. Only then could everyone accept this explanation. Otherwise, It would be too heaven-defying for a first celestial layer to kill a fourth celestial layer sage so easily in such a short time. They simply could not accept it. Damn it, hurry up and activate the formation. The North Demon roared because Lin Xian had already arrived beside the Milky Way. However, the Milky Way did not seem to have activated its array formation. The dark red divine dragon roared. Damn it, where is the law enforcement team? Don't play dead. A law enforcement team rushed over. Looking at the surrounding scene, their expressions were cold. They couldn't activate the formation for you. We're about to reach the death fog area. We can't take that risk. What? Fog of death. Everyone was shocked. That was rumored to be a place where even small saints couldn't survive. Thinking of this, their faces were filled with horror. At the same time, they looked at Lin Wudi, who was outside the formation. No matter how strong this Lin Wudi was, he couldn't escape from the death fog area. If he couldn't board the ship now, he would probably die. Damn it, since you know that there's a death fog in front of you, hurry up and activate the formation. The dark red divine dragon roared. They were angry. That was the extremely terrifying death fog area in the legends. No matter how powerful Lin Xian was, they weren't confident in their hearts. Therefore the two of them wanted to fight. The law enforcement team coldly snorted. You dare to fight with us? Do you believe that we won't chase you two out too? Many experts and saints appeared in the surroundings. Each of them looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Outside, Lin Xian saw this scene. Although he didn't know what the other party was talking about, he knew that there should be a conflict. It seemed that the other party was unwilling to activate the formation. Thinking of this, a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. He directly shot out a starry sky flame, instantly burning a hole in the formation in front of him. With a swoosh, he rushed in through the crack. Boom! The entire Milky Way let out a sharp roar. Everyone was alarmed. What happened? They were terrified. As for the law enforcement team, their expressions changed drastically. Not good, the formation was damaged. Their eyes were like rainbows as they looked into the distance. Lin Xian, who was outside the formation, had already entered, and there was a big crack in that place. Damn it, he actually destroyed the formation. How was this possible? These people were angry, but then they became terrified. Their formation was so powerful. However, the other party could actually break it in an instant. What kind of method was that? They didn't know. Just as they were in a daze, Lin Xian had already arrived nearby. Kid, you're back. That's great. The dark red divine dragon heaved a sigh of relief. The North Demon said. He came at the right time. After a while, it was said that the death fog would appear. We wanted to fight with them just now. Death fog. Lin Xian was stunned, then his face darkened. That was a close call. He was almost killed by them. You said it, but you still didn't repair it. Do you want everyone to be buried in the death fog? The law enforcement team's expressions changed drastically. At the same time, the elders and formation masters on the Milky Way came out one after another and began to repair the formation. Fortunately, it was only a crack and the loss wasn't great. Moreover, the defensive formation against the death fog wasn't the one that Lin Xian destroyed, so there was no need to worry too much. Soon, the formation was repaired, and the seawater that poured in was all disposed of. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, the law enforcement team surrounded Lin Xian. Damn it, you actually dared to destroy our formation. Do you really think we won't dare to punish you? Sorry, the situation is urgent. I heard that the death fog is in front, so I have to keep it a secret. So I used some tricks. I can pay the boarding fee again. Of course, if you insist on killing me, I'm afraid it won't be so easy for you to kill me. Since I can destroy your formation once, I can destroy it a second time. At that time, our Milky Way's formation will be completely destroyed, and it will be impossible to pass through the death fog. How dare you threaten us? The law enforcement team roared in anger. Alright, this matter ends here. If you pay another 10,000 kilograms of divine crystals, we'll let bygones be bygones. However, if you dare to break the rules of the Milky Way again, we'll immediately expel you. The higher-ups of the Milky Way gave the order. The law enforcement team was unwilling, but there was nothing they could do. Next, the storm finally subsided. Everyone was shocked by Lin Wudi's strength. He didn't even put the Milky Way in his eyes. He was really arrogant. Chapter 3568. Soon, everyone's gazes and thoughts were diverted by other things. That was the fog of death. They finally saw the legendary forbidden land of death. Outside the surrounding array formation, there was another layer of hazy aura. That was the strongest defense formed by the wonton clay combined with the array formation. The fog of death. From this moment on, a trace of gray fog had appeared around them. The further they went, the thicker the gray fog. In the end they could not see anything clearly. Everyone knew that this was the fog of death. Once they left the island, even a small saint would die instantly outside. There was nothing to see in the fog of death. Although they were separated by the array formation, everyone could feel the cold aura. The entire Milky Way seemed to have become silent. Everyone stopped making noise and stopped comprehending. They returned to their respective pavilions and waited silently. They waited for the Milky Way to leave the fog of death. However, the good times did not last long. 10 days later, the Milky Way suddenly shook violently. It was as if the ship was about to capsize. This scene frightened everyone and they all walked out of the palace. Their faces were filled with fear. Damn it, what happened? Could it be that they were attacked again? Could it be that a world-destroying monster was attacking them again? Some people guessed that because they had encountered the world-destroying octopus before, perhaps this time was similar. Impossible. They had already entered the fog of death. What kind of monster could travel through the fog of death? If there was such an existence, they would die without a doubt. Everyone was discussing animatedly. They were very frightened. Even the elders on the Milky Way were stunned. Damn it, what was going on? They controlled the array formation and looked in all directions. Suddenly there was another violent tremor. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The Milky Way was almost overturned by someone. Boundless waves swept across and the fog of death around them danced. This time, everyone could finally see it clearly. A beam of light that reached the sky fiercely slammed into their array formation. Someone was definitely attacking them. As for whether it was a human or a monster, they did not know. It's over. Damn it, how could this be? Screams rang out one after another. Lin Xian and the others also came out. Looking at the scene around them, their faces were incomparably solemn. On the other side, Yu Shijie and the others also had serious expressions. How could they encounter such a thing again? This trip was really not going well. First, it was the apocalyptic octopus. Now, it was this kind of attack. He really didn't know if he could reach there safely. Haha, Yu Shijie, do you think you can return safely? What a joke. A cold voice sounded in the surroundings. Yu Shijie's face changed. The guards around her looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Who was it? Come out. Oh no, it's targeting them. Yu Shijie's face was extremely pale. Damn it, was it the person who was tracking him? The other party was right beside them, but they couldn't find him at all. For a moment, they felt as if they were facing a great enemy. At this moment, the old saint of the third heaven roared, "Hurry up and contact the Milky Way so that they can leave as soon as possible." Soon, they contacted the elders of the Milky Way and asked them to speed up. However, the Milky Way's elder's expression was extremely ugly. He said, "Fairy Rain, it's not that we don't want to help you, but we can't move forward at all." He couldn't move forward. What was going on? Everyone looked. The elder controlled the array formation and pointed. In front of them, in the fog of death, there were two huge black shadows. Upon closer inspection, they found that they were actually two islands. The two huge islands were like them. They were surrounded by arrays and emitted a terrifying light. Fog ship, it was actually a fog ship and there were two of them. Yu Shijie and the others were extremely shocked. These two fog ships directly blocked their way. Damn it, which world's fog ship was this? Why were they blocking their way? The people of the Milky Way roared crazily. They could only turn around now. As they spoke, they began to control the Milky Way. The huge island slowly rotated and turned around. However, at this moment, a few more hums sounded, causing them to shake non-stop. Immediately after, a few more fog ships appeared around them, completely surrounding them. Outside, Lin Xian and the others stood on the island and saw the surrounding scene. When they saw that there were many similar fog ships around them, they were completely stunned. What was going on? They were being besieged. Impossible, who would dare to attack the Milky Way? Behind the Milky Way was a sect from the second astral realm. Were they trying to become enemies with the second astral realm? Yes, the Milky Way had joined the Fog Alliance. All fog ships had to abide by the rules and help each other. Once they encountered an enemy, they would immediately join forces. Who would dare to go against such an alliance? Everyone screamed crazily. Basically, no one dared to attack the fog ships. But now they were actually being stopped. Look, what was that symbol? Someone exclaimed. They saw that the fog ships around them were getting closer and closer. Finally, they could see the scene on the other side clearly. The most eye-catching thing was that on the other side's island, there was a black flag. It was black and looked like a pagoda. And on that flag, there was a picture of a demon bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws. That was the people of the demon planet. The people on the Milky Way screamed. It was actually the demon planet. Demon planet. Wuxia and the others were also shocked. A hint of fear appeared in their eyes. The surrounding people were puzzled. What kind of force was this demon planet? Could it make the Milky Way so afraid? The demon planet was also a world of stars, but it was a very special world. Originally, the demon planet was a place of exile. Some martial artists who were expelled from their sects and families were exiled to the demon planet. But gradually, it became a place where all kinds of bandits, murderers, ruthless people, and strong people gathered. Those notorious characters would all live here, and they had joined hands to create a fiend star. It was a sinful world. Inside, all kinds of killing and darkness coexisted. Ordinary people probably couldn't even survive a day there. Moreover, the demon planet often robbed other fog ships in the chaotic star ocean. I didn't expect to encounter it this time. What, it was actually such a thing. After everyone heard that, they understood. Robbery, wasn't this a bandit? It was just that they had never encountered such a powerful bandit before. It's over. What should we do? Run away. The people on the island discussed animatedly. Run my ass. Can you block the fog of death after you go out? But what if we don't run away? We can't beat these demons. There were whales. Boy, what should we do? The dark red divine dragon asked. Lin Xian also frowned. They didn't expect to encounter such a thing. They would wait and see the reaction of the Milky Way first. Chapter 3569. People on the Milky Way, listen up. Give up resistance and let us go up. We might be able to give you a chance to live. If you dare to resist, we will kill you without mercy. We will sink you and let you all die in the fog of death. Damn it, this was really a group of demons. The people on the island felt their scalps go numb. The elders and law enforcement team of the Milky Way also rushed out crazily. They looked at the fog ships around them and roared crazily. Damn it, how dare you attack the Milky Way? Do you know the power behind the Milky Way? So what? To be honest, we didn't want to attack you. It's too troublesome. But unfortunately, your Milky Way is unlucky. It's carrying someone we want. Hand over that person obediently, and there might be room for negotiation. Someone we want? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Could it be that the people from the Fiend planet were here to capture someone? Who was it? Who could make the Fiend planet mobilize so many people? Wuxia, come out obediently and surrender, or continue to hide in the Milky Way and let these people die with you. A cold voice was heard, resounding in all directions. The people around were all stunned when they heard it. What? Wuxia. They sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't know who Wuxia was before, but at the last banquet, someone had personally explained some things to them about the second astral realm. Wuxia was a little princess of the Rain clan. The Rain clan was a big family in the second astral realm. It could be said that Wuxia's status far exceeded theirs. Was such a prodigy really on the Milky Way? With them? But how come they didn't know this? Who was Wuxia? Really here on our side? Could the people from the Fiend planet have made a mistake? All kinds of rumors spread. Lin Xian frowned when he heard this. Wuxia? Rain Fairy? In an instant he thought of the masked woman. He had felt that the masked woman's identity was not ordinary, and now this situation had occurred. He could immediately confirm that Rain Fairy was Wuxia. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath. It seemed that the other party was indeed targeted. She had a tracking necklace. It seemed that it was set up by the people from the Fiend planet. Sure enough, after Wuxia's people heard this, their expressions became extremely ugly. Sis, what should we do? Everyone was at a loss. Wuxia. Even the people on the Milky Way were at a loss. Wuxia, she looked at the people on the Milky Way. She understood the Fiend star very well. It was really a group of fiends, so she must not fall into the hands of those people. The elder of the Milky Way took a deep breath and controlled the array formation. On the Milky Way, an incomparable light bloomed and turned into a stream of light, wanting to break out of the siege. The surrounding islands emitted terrifying rays of light, forming pillars of light that directly bombarded the Milky Way. The Milky Way ship trembled violently. The array formation was directly torn apart. Even the ground on the island had countless cracks. On the island, everyone was in a mess. They opened their Saint domains, their faces full of fear. The array was broken. In an instant they felt a cold aura around them. It was the aura of the fog of death. They were so scared that they huddled together, not daring to move at all. If they fell into the chaotic star sea outside, they would definitely be killed by the fog of death. Not good. The faces of the elders on the Milky Way also became incomparably ugly. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. In an instant, their array had been destroyed by someone else. There was no other way. The difference was too great. The other party had come with at least 5 fog ships. And they only had 1 ship. How could they fight? Rain Fairy, we've tried our best. You'd better run. There's some chaos soil here. Wuxia took the wonton soil to make the battle armor. Then she took a deep breath. Let's go. They walked out. At the same time, figures appeared on the surrounding fog ships. Their bodies were flickering with light. They were connected to the array formation. At this moment, they had passed through the crack and arrived on the Milky Way. They looked down like gods and demons. Everyone listen up. Don't move or resist. Otherwise, we'll completely sink you and let you die in the fog of death. If you cooperate obediently, we might give you a chance to live. Hearing this, the saints who wanted to resist fell silent. They did not want to die. Therefore, everyone stayed in place and did not move. At this moment, a few figures flew out from the Milky Way. It was Wuxia. You're finally out. The surrounding experts on the Fiend planet looked forward and sneered. The others also turned their heads, wanting to see who the legendary Wuxia was. Lin Xian and the others also turned their heads. In the next moment they closed their eyes. Sure enough, their guess was right. It was the masked woman and her group. The masked woman and the others stood in the void and said coldly, Fiend planet, you dare to capture me? Aren't you afraid of the Rain Clan's revenge? Besides, I don't have any grudges with the Fiend planet. Grudges? We don't have any, but who told you to have a special bloodline? Our Fiend child has taken a liking to you, so obediently come back with us and enjoy glory and wealth. The others would also be able to live. If you dare resist, I can guarantee that you will die miserably. Don't think about escaping. You can't escape. Damn it. Wuxia's face was gloomy. As expected, these people were after her bloodline power. The surrounding guardians also had solemn expressions. Sis, let's prepare to break out of the encirclement. They knew that they could not fall into the hands of these demons. Otherwise, they would never be able to see the light of day. Therefore, in the next moment, these people let out low cries and rushed into the sky. Escape? How was that possible? How could Wuxia and the others escape? The surrounding people were stunned. Without the protection of the array, how could these people block the fog of death? However, in the next moment, they were stunned because they discovered that Wuxia and the others did not die. Instead, they entered the fog of death and disappeared. What was going on? These people were stunned. Didn't they say that the fog of death was very terrifying? The Fiend planet's people sneered. Armor made of chaotic earth. No wonder they dared to escape. However, can you escape? Chase them. Chapter 3570. Armor formed from Chaos Earth. Everyone was shocked. It was the aura of Chaos Earth. Rumor had it that these formations were formed by combining Chaos Earth, which was why they could block the death mist. Of course, armor formed from Wonton Earth could also block it. Wuxia actually had such a treasure in her hands. Many people's eyes turned red. The other party could escape, but they could not. For a moment, these people turned their heads to look at the people from the Fiend planet. Wuxia has already left. Let us go. That's right. We have no grudges. Yes, we still have to go to the second astral realm. I hope you can do us a favor and let us go. Voices sounded one after another. These saints and prodigies did not want to be captured. They just wanted to settle the matter peacefully. Moreover, the person who the Fiend planet wanted to capture had already left. They should not make things difficult for them. However, the people from the Fiend planet in the sky laughed loudly. What a joke. Are these people from the first astral realm? They're pitifully naive. It was true that they had no grudges, but who said that there had to be a reason to attack them? Because you're weak, you deserve to die. Is that not allowed? The people on the island were stunned. Because you're weak, you deserve to die. To be honest, they had never thought that there would be such a thing. Of course, that was not rare. It was just that in the first astral realm, they were high and mighty existences. They could decide the life and death of others with a single glance. Now that they were here, they had become ants. Others could decide their life and death with a single glance. It was the first time they had experienced that feeling. Therefore, for a moment, these people were stunned. Damn it, I'll fight it out with you. Immediately, a few young masters could not hold back. They were also geniuses of large families. They had come to the second astral realm to increase their strength. How could they be manipulated by others? Immediately, the terrifying laws of heaven and earth surrounded their bodies. Do you want to die? At that moment, another person walked out of the island. It was a black-robed man. When he took a step forward, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. A group of black demons rushed out of his body, releasing a terrifying light. A large black hand reached out and enveloped the world. It directly slapped the resisting young masters into a bloody mist. Ah! Miserable cries sounded. The young masters roared angrily and shattered their souls to escape, but they were caught by the large black hand. Everyone felt their blood run cold. Who was this person? His strength was too strong. No matter what, those young masters were saints of the first heaven. But at this moment they were like ants, unable to resist at all. Was this the strength of the Fiend Star? He was really too strong, so strong that they were terrified and in despair. Lin Xin was also extremely shocked. Was him. He could tell that he had seen that person before. Previously at the banquet he had seen two extremely mysterious people. One of them was a pale-faced man who was later confirmed to be the Vermilion Bird Palace Master who had been revived. The other person was this black-robed man. At that time he had felt that the other person's aura was very powerful. Looking at it now, it was indeed true. This person should be from the demon planet as well. He should be the person who was following Wuxia. Lin Xian thought. Merciless tyrant sneered. There is only one outcome for anyone who dares to oppose our fiend planet. Death. Who else wants to die? Step forward. Seeing how powerful this black-robed man was, the others all felt their scalps go numb. Right now their lives were truly in the hands of the Fiend Star. What do you want? The elders on the Milky Way also gritted their teeth and roared. It's very simple. This island belongs to the Fiend Star. All of you will obediently follow us back to the Fiend Star. We can spare your lives. Everyone went crazy and followed the other party back to the Fiend Star. Wouldn't they become the other party's slaves? Just as everyone was in a daze, the elders on the Milky Way roared angrily, "Run!" They also soared into the sky. The elders on the Milky Way all fled. The people on the Fiend Star sent people to chase after them. Merciless Tyrant said coldly, "Take over the island and the people on it. Take all their things. They are all our spoils of war. Whoever dares to resist will be killed without mercy. If they dare to join forces to resist, we will destroy the island and let them all die in the fog of death. I will chase after you, Wuxia." After saying that, he turned into a stream of light and left. Everyone went crazy. Wuxia had left and the people on the Milky Way had also left. Only they were left. How could they escape? They didn't have the chaotic soil, so they couldn't leave. I submit. Please spare my life. Some people didn't have such a strong backbone and immediately surrendered to the Fiend Star. This seemed to be contagious. After the first person surrendered, more people quickly fled. None of the 3 million elites dared to resist. Very well, hand over your storage rings obediently. Also, keep this chain on you. We won't kill you. The people of the Fiend Star stepped forward. Everyone had no choice. In order to save their lives, they could only obey. In the crowd, Lin Xian frowned. The northern direwolf and the dark red dragon's expressions also became incomparably ugly. Kid, what should we do? Are we really going to become their slaves? How could we become their slaves? There was no way Lin Xian would surrender. He said telepathically. Although we don't have the chaotic soil, we still have some trump cards in our hands. We might be able to resist them. Hearing that, the dark red dragon and the northern direwolf nodded. However, they were not careless at all. Whether or not this trump card could block the death mist was another matter altogether. However, they knew what they had to do. In particular, Lin Xian had too many secrets on him. If he was captured by the people of the Fiend Star, he definitely wouldn't be able to survive. He would probably be sliced into pieces, so he had to leave. You want to escape? How dare you send a voice transmission? Can you leave? Suddenly, an extremely cold voice came from behind them. Not good. The voice transmission was heard. How was that possible? Lin Xian and the other two's pupils constricted. Such a situation had never happened before. However, they didn't expect the people of the Fiend Star to have such powerful souls. They directly received their voice transmission. It was too unbelievable. Let's go. They soared into the sky and turned into 3 streaks of light. You want to leave? Can you leave? An old man sneered. He held a black bug in his hand. The black bug was very strange. It had a long ear on its back. It was this bug that had heard Lin Xian's voice transmission. It should be a mutated creature that specialized in eavesdropping on soul voice transmissions. Seeing that the other party wanted to escape, the people of the Fiend Star attacked. One of the sages took out a large black net that carried a cold aura. Chapter 3571. Not good. In an instant, Lin Xian and the other two were enveloped. Don't hold back. Lin Xian shouted. Sword chi erupted from his body and shot into the sky, hitting the black net. The sword chi trembled and the black net trembled. However, it was not damaged. How is that possible? Lin Xian was shocked. The North Demon and the Dark Red Dragon were also stunned. They also launched shocking attacks, but they did not tear the net apart. Catch him. Those people rushed over. Lin Xian shouted angrily, Ruffian Dragon, come over here. As he spoke, he took out the Great Sage Pagoda, and a wisp of astral fire flowed out. The astral fire flowed out, and a crack immediately appeared on the black net. Lin Xian rushed out. The Dark Red Dragon and the North Demon followed closely behind. However, in the next moment they were hit by a golden bracelet, and the two of them fell from the sky. It's the Universe Bracelet. Not good, kid, run. That should be a replica of a sacred artifact. It's very terrifying. Don't get hit by it. Black Mountain quickly transmitted his voice. The Dark Red Dragon and the North Demon also roared angrily, Kid, run. Run. Yes, we're not ordinary either. They won't kill us. When the time comes, go to the Fiend Planet to look for us. Alright, you two must protect yourselves. I'll go find you. Lin Xian also let out a long roar and soared into the sky. He knew that he could not delay any longer or he would not be able to leave. Moreover, he believed that with the Dark Red Dragon and the North Demon's bloodline talent, they would be valued even if they went to the Fiend Planet. He thought that his life would not be in danger. He turned into a streak of light and rushed into the distance. You want to leave? The middle-aged man sneered and threw out the diamond bracelet again. It was a bracelet that flickered with golden light. There were runes all over it. It was a very terrifying sacred artifact. According to Black Mountain, it was a replica. The real diamond bracelet was rumored to be able to knock out everything. Its effect was similar to the white monkey's claws. The diamond bracelet quickly shot toward Lin Xian. It arrived in front of him in an instant and was about to hit him. Boom! Lin Xian roared and swung the annihilation spear. With a clank, it struck the diamond bracelet and sent it flying. At the same time, he used the Kunping movement technique and tore open the void. Did he escape? The middle-aged man put away the golden bracelet. His face was full of surprise. There was actually someone who could block his attack. This kid was not simple. But it didn't take long for him to laugh coldly. So what if he's formidable? This fellow is only a person who boarded the ship, so he probably doesn't have any chaotic soil on him. There's no need to pursue him at all. Once he entered the fog of death, he would definitely die. The other people on the Fiend Planet also sneered. Indeed, no matter how powerful that kid was, he wouldn't be able to escape the death fog. Therefore, they all turned their gazes away and ignored him. As for the others, their faces were filled with shock. Lin Wuti had escaped. However, could Lin Wuti avoid the death fog? Could it be that a prodigy of the generation was going to fall just like that? They shook their heads and sighed. Soon they were no longer in the mood to care about Lin Wuti. They couldn't even protect themselves now. Lin Xian left the Milky Way, turned into a stream of light, and instantly flew into the distance. However, as soon as he came out, he felt a cold aura that seemed to want to devour him. He felt that his vitality was about to be sucked away. Not good, this was the death fog. He was so frightened that he hurriedly used his divine body. Billions of rays of light bloomed, and he was like a golden war god. However, the result didn't change at all. He discovered that his vitality was still flowing away. If there was no other way, he would soon become a pile of bones and completely rot. Was this the death fog? It was too terrifying. Even his divine body couldn't resist it? No wonder no one dared to trespass here unless they had chaotic soil. However, Lin Xian really didn't have such a thing. He snorted coldly, and the dragon sword soul in his body roared. Countless dragon-shaped sword chi surged out, forming a sword domain that enveloped him. The dragon sword soul could destroy everything, so it should be able to destroy this death fog. As expected, his guess was right. He could feel that the life force in his body was slowly weakening. Soon it stopped. The great dragon sword spirit blocked the death fog, but soon he began to worry. Although the dragon sword soul was powerful, there was too much death fog. Moreover, he had to use the dragon sword soul with all his strength to resist it. In this way, his flying speed was very slow. Who knew how big the death fog was? If he flew for a year and a half, he would be exhausted to death. Once his strength was exhausted, he wouldn't be able to resist it at all. Moreover, there were pursuers behind him. Thinking of this, he was bewildered. He turned his head and found that no one was chasing after him. What was going on? Didn't the people from the demon planet chase after him? On second thought he understood. These people probably thought that he couldn't survive in the death fog. Therefore they didn't even bother to chase after him. Thinking about it, even the 9-yang divine body couldn't resist it. If it weren't for the dragon sword soul, he would have died in the death fog. However, this time the people from the demon planet miscalculated. He could still survive. He took a breath and asked, "Black Mountain, do you have a way?" Black Mountain said, "The death fog is very powerful, but the dragon sword soul is even more magical. If you are strong like a great sage like me, you shouldn't be afraid of the death fog. Of course, even if you are a saint venerable, you can enter and exit the death fog at will with the help of the dragon sword soul. But now you are only a first heaven saint. You are too weak." Lin Xian's face turned black. "I didn't call you here for you to lecture me. Do you have a way or not?" He said, "There is a way. You can only use the Great Sage Pagoda. However, the Great Sage's sacred artifact should be able to resist the death fog." Bus. Lin Xian took out the Great Sage Pagoda and directly entered it. Then he controlled the Great Sage Pagoda and turned into a stream of light and left. Black Mountain was right. The Great Sage Pagoda was indeed able to resist the death fog. The Great Sage Pagoda was left behind by the Spacetime Great Sage. It was a Great Sage artifact that surpassed ordinary sacred artifacts. It was not surprising that it could resist the death fog. There were probably not many Great Sage artifacts in the world. Therefore, it was unheard of for Lin Xian to have a Great Sage artifact. However, Lin Xian did not have it easy. Since the Great Sage Pagoda was a Great Sage artifact, it consumed too much energy to activate it. Even though Lin Xian was a peerless genius, it was not easy for him to control the Great Sage Pagoda. He had to fly for a while and then stop. The most important thing was that he didn't know the direction. He could only choose a direction and bite the bullet and fly. Now he only had one thought, and that was to see if he could meet other bewilderment fog ships and then follow them from afar. The following days were more difficult. Lin Xian controlled the Great Sage Pagoda while enduring the burning of the starry sky flames. After all, there was a lot of starry sky flames in the pagoda. Although most of them had been used, there was still some left to temper the black earth. There was still some left. Although he had pulled away from the starry sky flames, the scorching temperature still made him grimace. He knew that this was also a kind of cultivation. Sure enough, his physique had strengthened during this period. However, this pain was not something that anyone could endure. Chapter 3572. Lin Xian did not expect that Wuxia would cause such a commotion. Not only was he forced to leave the Milky Way, but he was also separated from the Dark Red Dragon and the North Demon. He could not find the way to the Emperor to Astral Realm. Hopefully the North Demon and the North Demon were fine. Lin Xian sighed and continued flying. The days were very boring, but a month later he was suddenly stunned. Black Mountain said, "Kid, there's a star ahead. Do you want to go and take a look?" There was a star world in the fog of death. Lin Xian's eyes widened. Impossible. How could this place be so terrifying that even a minor saint could not survive? Could it be that a group of sage kings lived there? It's not as exaggerated as you think. If there was a sage king of a world, the other worlds would not be able to survive. Black Mountain shook his head and said, "That's a dead world. There's no life in it. Do you want to go and rest?" All right. Lin Xian changed direction and flew towards the star world. At the same time he asked, "What's up with this fog of death? Do you know?" Black Mountain used to be a great sage, and a great sage from tens of thousands of years ago. Perhaps he knew the origin of this fog of death. However, Black Mountain shook his head. "I don't know. When I was alive, the fog of death already existed. This place is very strange. I don't know how it was formed, but the power of death is a headache even for sage kings. Under normal circumstances, no one would come here. Of course, it was unknown who discovered the chaotic earth that could resist the fog of death. Therefore, even if you were not strong enough, if you had the chaotic earth, you could still survive in the fog of death. Of course, even if you could survive, it would be very dangerous. Therefore, before coming here, you would take the huge fog ship." Black Mountain said that the fog of death was very dangerous. As for how it came about, no one knew. It was really mysterious. Lin Xian frowned. He continued to control the Great Sage Pagoda. Gradually he discovered that there was indeed a star world in front of him, but it was dim. Looking from this direction, the death world was broken. Many places had been directly corroded. The entire world was gray without a trace of life. But for him, at least he had a place to stay, so Lin Xian flew towards the world of death. Landing on land, he heaved a sigh of relief. The entire ground was gray, and he even discovered that there were plants here, but they were also gray. Some of them were even black, which was the color of the fog of death. He walked out of the great sage pagoda and felt around. He found that the aura here was very cold, but he could still resist it. It wasn't like the death mist, which directly deprived him of his vitality. He let out a sigh of relief and put away the great sage pagoda. He found a place to sit down and began to recover his strength. 5 days later, Lin Xian's strength had recovered to its peak. Then Lin Xian began to investigate his surroundings. Flying at a low altitude, Zhang Xian circled the area and found that other than some gray plants, there was not a single human or demonic beast in sight. Later on, he discovered some skeletons that were scattered all over the world. It seemed that this place used to have humans and demonic beasts in the past, but for some reason they all died later on. Black Mountain guessed that it might be because the death mist invaded a large area, so it directly deprived these humans and demonic beasts of their lives. As he was flying, Lin Xian's body suddenly trembled. As if struck by lightning, he fell down. With a boom, he landed on the ground. The powerful force crushed countless white bones. What was going on? Someone ambushed him. Lin Xian had goosebumps all over his body. He released his god body and scanned the area. Streaks of sword chi crisscrossed around him. Who was it? He didn't find anyone. He felt extremely strange. Was it a ghost that ambushed him just now? That power was too strong. Fortunately, his physique was strong, or this attack would definitely have torn him into pieces. Damn it, was there no one? Lin Xian began to search the area, but after a round of searching, he didn't find anything. It was safer for him, but in the latter half of the night, the surroundings fell into darkness. There wasn't even any light. Suddenly he was hit again and was sent flying. The blood in his body was boiling. Lin Xian was completely enraged. Damn it, was it addicted? With a roar, the sword chi rushed through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A pair of golden eyes were like the eyes of a god, searching in all directions. Bust. With a wave of his hand, 9 flaming divine feathers flew out of his body. These were the vermilion bird divine feathers used by the Vermilion Bird Palace Master. After he obtained them, he used the star fire to completely refine them. He destroyed all the soul imprints on them and then replaced them with his own soul imprints. The Vermilion Bird divine feathers were really good stuff. These were the feathers left behind by the real Vermilion Bird sacred beast. The 9 Vermilion Bird divine feathers were connected together, like 9 divine swords under his control. They spread out in all directions. At this moment, he finally locked onto something with the heavenly secret god eyes. He blasted towards the ground. The ground was directly penetrated. The Vermilion Bird divine feathers were like a long dragon, roaring and hitting the thing. With a boom, the void shattered. Lin Xian appeared below. He saw that it was a bone. A gray bone in the shape of a human. After that thing was hit, it emitted a frightened soul fluctuation. It instantly tore through the void trying to escape. However, how could Lin Xian let it escape? He had already found the other party. Controlling the Vermilion Bird divine feathers, the terrifying power of the 5 laws attacked in all directions, fighting with the gray bone. Finally, he fought until the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. He tore that bone into pieces. Lin Xian roared. There was a dragon-shaped aura on the Vermilion Bird divine feathers that could destroy everything. The gray bone immediately became frightened. It sent out a soul fluctuation. Stop. Stop fighting. Let's make peace. Make peace. Lin Xian snorted, but at the same time he was extremely shocked. The bone still had soul fluctuations. It didn't seem to be completely dead. Who are you? How dare you sneak attack me? You can't beat me, so you want to make peace? Do you think that's possible? That person said. I had no choice. I wanted to leave this place too much, so when someone came over, I subconsciously attacked. Now I admit that I can't beat you. I don't want to attack you. Don't try to kill me. I've been here for 5,000 years. I'm very familiar with this place. You can't kill me. Had he stayed there for 5,000 years? Lin Xian was stunned. Then he narrowed his eyes. How did you die? When you died, was there anyone in this world? What happened to turn this place into a world of death? Ka. The gray bone began to combine, forming a skeleton. It shook its head and made cracking sounds. There was a gray aura in its eyes. It said, when I came, this place was already a land of death. There was no one. I was forced to come here. In the end, I was swallowed by the aura of death and became like this. How could you survive after being swallowed by the aura of death? Chapter 3573. I'm a Saint King and I died here. White Bones said. Hearing this, Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. Saint King? This was too shocking. However, Black Mountain sneered. No, he's not a Saint King at all. At most, he's a small saint. Lin Xian was also stunned after hearing this. He narrowed his eyes, and his eyes flickered with a golden light. Saint King, are you sure? Of course, I don't even know what my cultivation is. White Bones was stubborn. Lin Xian sneered. Is that so? But why do I feel that you're just a small saint? You found out. White Bones was shocked and in disbelief. Lin Xian snorted. It seemed that Black Mountain was right. The other party was indeed a small saint. Then what's going on? How could a small saint survive in the death fog? Did he have the chaotic soil? If he had that kind of thing, he wouldn't have died. The other party was now invaded by the death fog, but he wasn't completely dead. It was very strange. It seemed that the other party had a secret. Lin Xian continued. Tell me your secret. What secret? White Bones pretended to be stupid. Lin Xian said, It's impossible for you to block the death fog. How did you survive? I don't know either. I just survived by chance. I'm already a skeleton now. What secret can I have? If I really have a secret, I shouldn't have died. Kid, look at his skull. There's a problem. I don't think it's his own. Hearing Black Mountain's voice, Lin Xian looked up. Under the heavenly secret god eyes, he indeed saw a trace of difference. The other party's skull was indeed mysterious. It was different from the surrounding bones. However, it was covered by the other party. Ordinary saints couldn't see it at all. You don't want to say it, right? Do you think I won't know if you don't say it? Lin Xian probed. A big golden hand grabbed the other party's head. Damn it, what are you trying to do? White Bones roared. Starlight jumped out of its eye sockets to resist the golden hand. With a cracking sound, the starry gaze was smashed into pieces, and the golden hand grabbed the opponent's head. He directly grabbed the skull and pulled it off. White Bones let out a miserable shriek. The moment the skull left, its body began to shatter, and its life force rapidly weakened. You can't treat me like this, give it back to me. Give it back to me. He screamed crazily and begged for mercy. It seemed that without this bone he had no strength at all. Lin Xian didn't pay any attention to him. Instead, he carefully examined the bone. He discovered that this bone was indeed very magical. It was very light in his hand as if it was weightless. However, when he tried to break it with force, he discovered that the bone did not move at all. This was simply too inconceivable. He had a divine body and was extremely powerful. However, at this moment he actually couldn't do anything to this bone. One could imagine that it was definitely extraordinary. Kid, look at the other side. Lin Xian flipped the bone over and a shocking light appeared in his eyes. On the other side of the bone, there were countless black lines. Like Tao patterns, they were densely packed and formed one after another strange patterns. The eerie black pattern contained an aura of death, causing Lin Xian's hair to stand on end. What's going on? Why does it feel so similar to the aura of the mist of death? Still not going to talk? Lin Xian looked at White Bones. White Bones was lying on the ground, dying. He said, I'll talk, please save my life. Lin Xian snorted and threw the bone to him. White Bones pressed on the skull, and only then did he heave a sigh of relief as if he had recovered. You're right, I'm indeed a minor saint. When I first came here, nothing happened. The aura of death around me wasn't strong. However, on the third year, the star world was suddenly enveloped by the mist of death. I couldn't resist it at all. I kept rotting and my life force was taken away. I was so scared that I ran away. Finally, I escaped to a place where I found this piece of bone. With this bone, I was able to survive in the fog of death. Hearing this, Lin Xian was stunned. A bone could allow someone to survive in the mist of death. This was too unbelievable. Was this related to the chaotic land? He thought of this possibility but soon shook his head. He had seen the chaotic land before. The two should have nothing to do with each other. What was even more strange was the black pattern on the back of the bone. It was very strange. He asked, What are the black patterns on the bone? Did you carve them? I didn't carve them. They were on the bone in the first place. Moreover, this is the special part of the bone. It's the black patterns that allowed me to survive. What's the secret of this pattern? Lin Xian asked. I don't know. I tried to draw the exact same Dao rune but it was useless. It seems that only this bone is useful. White Bones seemed to be really scared and didn't dare to hide anything. He said, You should have felt it too. The black patterns on the bone are very similar to the aura of the mist of death. I guess that the two are of the same origin. So after I put this thing on, the mist of death thought that I was one of them so it didn't attack me. Of the same origin. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He asked again, "Where did you get this thing? Do you want to go to that place?" White Bones' heart trembled. It seemed to have thought of something terrifying. He said, "I can draw a map for you. You can go by yourself." "Map? Why don't you bring me there? You still want to play tricks?" A hint of cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. White Bones knelt on the ground. "Big brother, don't kill me. I really don't want to die. That place is very strange. The last time I went there, I barely survived. I guess my good luck has run out. If you let me go there again, I will definitely die. If you don't go, I will kill you now." Lin Xian's killing intent became even colder. White Bones struggled for a long time and sighed helplessly. "Forget it, I can't hide. I have been at death's door for thousands of years. It's time to put an end to it. Let's go, I will bring you there. White Bones will lead the way." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He followed silently. Although most of what White Bones said was true, he was sure that White Bones was still holding back. So he was always on guard. The two of them shuttled through half of the world and seemed to have arrived at the other side of the world. Finally, Lin Xian saw a black shadow in front of him. It looked like countless black mountains. White Bones pointed ahead and said, "It's inside those mountains." When he said this, his bones were trembling. He seemed to be very scared. Lin Xian saw this scene and frowned. He asked, "What is inside that can make you so scared?" Chapter 3574. Lin Xian looked at this scene and frowned, but he didn't say anything. He waved his hand and led White Bones forward. White Bones braced itself and followed. Walking into the Black Mountain, the surrounding atmosphere was very oppressive and eerie. It was as if they had entered the fog of death. Lin Xian didn't feel his vitality being taken away, but he felt an indescribable suppression. White Bones followed closely behind, afraid that something would suddenly appear. Suddenly Lin Xian stopped in front. White Bones bumped into Lin Xian with a bang. Its bones were about to fall apart, so it quickly took 2 steps back. "Why did you stop?" he asked carefully. Lin Xian said that there was a person in front. "What? There was a person?" White Bones trembled. Lin Xian turned around. "Didn't you come here before? Didn't you say that there was no one here?" White Bones was scared when Lin Xian saw it. It quickly said, "There really isn't anyone here. Let me see what that is." White Bones finally walked out from behind Lin Xian and looked forward. The next moment, it heaved a sigh of relief and said, "That's not a person. That person already existed when I came here. We'll know when we walk over. You walk in front. Don't try to play tricks," Lin Xian said coldly. White Bones had no choice but to lead the way. They walked forward. Sure enough, when they reached the front, Lin Xian found it. Indeed, it couldn't be a person. To be precise, it wasn't a living person. It was a dead person. That person stood there without any breath. Moreover, the flesh and blood on his body had long disappeared. Only bones and human skin were left. There were many small scales on the human skin. Even if this thing was alive, it wasn't a human but a demon. Those who could come here were definitely not ordinary. They were at least saints or even minor saints. However, they were dead. And it seemed that they died because their vitality was sucked dry. It was a strange thing. "Let's go. Bring me to the place where you found White Bones," Lin Xian said. White Bones could only bring him through the mountains. Finally, they arrived at a ravine. There were many bone fragments. White Bones pointed at the ravine and said, "This is where I found this bone. Here." Lin Xian looked around and waved his hand. His huge soul entered the ravine and began to search. Soon he retracted his soul. He didn't find anything special. At this moment, a lot of gray fog rushed out from the ground and swept in all directions. Feeling this chi Lin Xian's tea, death fog, "Lin Xian, death fog, you dare to deceive me." He grabbed White Bones' head and White Bones trembled in fear. "No, I definitely didn't trick you. I didn't know what's going on. There was no death. Lin Xian scoffed and quickly retreated with White Bones. The aura of death around them began to spread, but fortunately there were not many of them. Lin Xian's body was covered with sword chi, forming a sword domain. It shrouded him and he set off towards the place where there was no death fog. After flying for a while, Lin Xian came to a stop. Because something strange appeared in front of him again. A palace appeared in front of him. It was a black palace. It was tall, cold, and evil. He realized that the palace was built with stones. The stones were very similar to the stones in the surrounding mountains. It must have been made from local materials. There were many strange patterns on the stones. It was only when Lin Xian walked closer that he realized that the carvings on the stone pillars of the palace were all ferocious-looking figures. There were humans and demons. They were densely packed as if they were evil spirits from hell. It made one's scalp go numb. There's a palace here. I didn't know about it. White Bones was also shocked. Lin Xian looked at him and realized that he really didn't know about it, because the soul fluctuation didn't seem to be faked. These stones were too strange. The figures on them were too similar. Lin Xian even felt that they were very similar to the person he met before. The person's life was sucked dry and was only left with human skin. Could it be that the life of these things was also sucked dry? Then they turned into human skin and breathed on the stone pillars? Thinking of this possibility, White Bones almost peed. Of course he couldn't pee now. However, he was very frightened. If Lin Xian's guess was right, then it was too scary. These human skins were not inferior to him. They were at least minor saints. Now, there were so many minor saints who were sucked dry and made into pillars. What was going on? Who was this person? How could he have such a shocking move? Even Heishan was surprised. Kid, I realized that your guess was most likely correct. Whether it's true or not, we'll know after trying. Lin Xian took a deep breath. If he broke a stone pillar, he would be able to see whether it was made of real skin or just stone. With a wave of his hand, 9 vermilion bird divine feathers flew out and floated around him, breathing out terrifying flames. What are you trying to do? White Bones asked in horror. As soon as he finished asking, he screamed, because he saw Lin Xian making a move. The vermilion bird divine feathers turned into a ray of light and rushed forward. A terrifying sound was heard. Flames splashed and the void cracked. This scene scared White Bones silly. He really didn't expect that the young man in front of him would be so bold to attack such a strange stone pillar. However, what made him relieved was that the black stone pillar was much harder than he imagined. Under this attack, it only shook violently and didn't break. Even Lin Xian was greatly surprised by this. What a tough stone. Umph. With a cold snort, he activated the vermilion bird divine feathers again. The 5 elemental laws revolved around the vermilion bird divine feathers. In an instant, more than 1,000,000 attacks were carried out. No matter how powerful the stone pillar was, it couldn't withstand the attacks. Cracks appeared on it and there were more and more cracks. Boom. With a loud boom, the black stone pillar finally couldn't withstand the attacks and broke into pieces. Pieces of human skin fell out. Lin Xian took a deep breath. His guess was right. It was indeed human skin. Why were there so many pieces of human skin? Were they all minor saints? He didn't dare to think about it anymore. What kind of existence was it? Was it the other party who built this palace? Why was the other party here? Why did he kill these saints? And was the other party still alive now? Thinking of this, he felt a chill down his spine. White Bones was also stunned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to succeed. He was shocked at first, but then he became curious and began to search inside the human skin. This human skin was not bad. He actually ate one of it and put it on his body. He was originally a skeleton. At this moment, after putting on the human skin, he looked like a walking corpse. Suddenly, White Bones screamed and kept rolling on the ground. "Hero, save me." He begged Lin Xian for mercy. Chapter 3575. Stop pretending to be mysterious and get up quickly. Lin Xian glanced at the other party and said coldly. He had already used his soul to see that these people had no life force. How could the other party be affected? However, White Bones sent out a soul fluctuation in pain. No, he has my soul. He wants to kill me. Please help me tear open the human skin. Lin Xian sneered and was unmoved. However, after waiting for a while, he realized that White Bones' aura was getting weaker and weaker. Its soul was like an extinguished lamp. He realized that something was wrong. He slashed out a sword chi and hit the human skin. White Bones let out a miserable cry, but the human skin did not leave. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The vermilion bird divine feather flew out, and an incomparable flame rushed over. This was the power of Yang, with an aura that could destroy everything. The human skin floated up on its own, and White Bones appeared inside. Thank you for saving my life. His soul fluctuation was very weak. At the same time, he looked at the human skin in horror. Damn it, this is too strange. Could it be that these human skins are still alive? Lin Xian was puzzled. He grabbed one of them and observed it from afar. However, no matter how he looked, he could not find any signs of life. He asked Black Mountain, but Black Mountain shook his head. He did not know either. He said, Kid, why don't you ignore these things and go inside to take a look? Inside. Lin Xian was stunned. He naturally knew that the other party was talking about this black palace. Did he really have to go in? Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian felt that he had to go in. There might be a power that could resist the death mist inside. He was trapped here and could not leave at all. However, White Bones had a bone that could resist the aura of the death mist. This stone was very likely related to this black palace. Therefore, if he went in, it was very likely that he would obtain the secret of the death mist. This was a huge temptation. Therefore, he decided to go in once. He walked forward, and White Bones behind him was still bewildered. His scalp went numb as he looked at the human face that had attacked him. To be exact, it wasn't a human, but a human skin with fangs and purple scales. It should be an existence of the devil race, but he was no longer interested in observing it because he noticed Lin Xian's actions and immediately followed him. I advise you to leave quickly. This place is too evil. Don't go in no matter what. Lin Xian said, you can leave now. I have to enter this place. After saying that, he used his hands to push the two black stone doors. Boom, boom. The black door was slowly pushed open and a dusty smell came out. It was obvious that no one had been here for tens of thousands of years. There was also a cold and gloomy aura coming from inside, which made people's hair stand on end. Suddenly, White Bones shrieked, scaring Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body was surrounded by sword energy. He took a few steps back and the black door closed. Lin Xian frowned and looked at White Bones. What are you screaming for? White Bones was trembling in fear. He stuck to me again. Even his soul was stuttering. Lin Xian frowned. He had indeed seen the human skin from before sticking to White Bones back again. This made him feel a little uneasy. Can't you stay away from him? Lin Xian said coldly. White Bones was almost scared to tears. Hero, I really had him thrown far away, but he floated over by himself. Lin Xian waved his hand. The 9 suns divine fire and the golden palm tore the human skin apart and threw him far away. Then he cast a 5-element seal and completely sealed him. Then he looked at the black door again. This time, no matter what happens, you are not allowed to make a sound. If you dare to disturb me again, I will break your bones and destroy your soul. Before he made his move, Lin Xian warned White Bones. White Bones quickly nodded, looking very obedient. Lin Xian turned his head and walked forward. He pushed the black stone door open again. The cold and gloomy aura from inside flowed out again. At the same time, there was a disgusting smell as if a corpse had rotted. This aura made Lin Xian very uncomfortable, so he didn't go in. Instead, he shot out 2 sword energy and stuck it on the black door. He opened the door and let the air outside circulate. After waiting for 3 days and 3 nights, the aura weakened a little. Lin Xian was surrounded by sword energy as he walked forward. He walked in and found that it was even darker inside. The whole building was made of black stones. Furthermore, this place was very strange. Even Lin Xian's soul was unable to probe too far. He couldn't even probe beyond 20 meters. It seemed that the whole palace was surrounded by a black fog. Could it be the fog of death? Lin Xian was shocked. At this moment, a cold wind blew, and the 2 sword energy stuck on the door were broken. With a bang, the 2 black doors were shut. This time, the light outside the door disappeared completely. The whole hall was pitch black. Lin Xian snorted. He released his divine fire, but it could only illuminate a small area. There was a trace of cold sweat on his forehead. This place was too strange. Suddenly, White Bones screamed and sat on the ground in fright. Then its bones broke on the ground. Lin Xian was also shocked. Then he was angry. Didn't I tell you not to scream? Seeing White Bones scattered on the ground, Lin Xian was amused. However, he could not laugh now. He asked, why are you screaming? White Bones' soul fluctuation spread out. The human skin from before had floated over again, flashing in the vicinity. What? Did the human skin come over? How was that possible? Lin Xian was shocked. Could it be that he had sealed the human skin with the 5-element seal? How could it follow him in? Don't talk nonsense. But I really saw it. White Bones felt wronged. Suddenly, he screamed again and pointed behind Lin Xian. There's a black shadow behind you. Heavens, he's alive. This scene also gave Lin Xian a fright. Behind him? Thinking of this, he snorted and turned around. The golden light in his eyes penetrated the 9 heavens and 10 lands. He really saw a black shadow floating in the air. Its ghostly aura was eerie, like a peerless demon. This gave him a fright. He could not help but attack. However, at this moment, the black shadow said, "Damn kid, you're scared silly. It's one of us." Phew. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. and his heart calmed down a little. This was because it was Black Mountain's voice. He said with a dark face, "Damn it, this place is so eerie. Why are you causing trouble? Do you think it's not scary enough?" Suddenly Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He saw another shadow behind Black Mountain. Chapter 3576. What? There was no one. He Shan turned around and found no one. Then he let out a creepy laugh. It was because of this that I had to come out and take a look. Damn it, there was really a ghost. White Bones screamed in fear. He Shan floated over. Was this guy crazy? He was a small saint after all. How could he be so timid? Lin Xian rolled his eyes. Look at those human skins outside. Didn't you think he was crazy? This place was really too creepy. A small saint was casually slaughtered. This guy was probably very brave to not be scared to death. He kicked White Bone and put your bones away. This is one of our own. After making up his mind that He Shan didn't attack him, White Bones carefully put the scattered bones together. Then it looked around in shock. Why did we come here? Lin Xian said. I'm looking for the secret of the fog of death. Can you use the stone on your forehead to sense it carefully and see if there's any effect? White Bones nodded and poured energy into the bone. Then the black patterns on the bone shone. White Bones was stunned. Lin Xian was also stunned. It was indeed effective. At this moment the surroundings suddenly lit up. There were a total of 81 lamps surrounding the entire hall. The originally dark hall was now illuminated, but the light was very dim, but it was much better than before. It seemed that this bone was indeed related to this place. Lin Xian looked around. He Shan was also floating around. Suddenly he said, "Kid, this place is really not simple. Do you know what these lamps are made of?" Lin Xian's eyes shone with golden light. He looked carefully. It was blood. He realized that what was hanging on the wall wasn't oil but blood. This was the blood of a saint. Using a saint's blood to light up the lamps. Lin Xian was shocked. This was definitely not an ordinary saint. Furthermore, this blood should have been refined before. He really didn't know who the owner of this place was. Suddenly He Shan screamed again. He floated to the sky above the hall and looked down. Then he said, "It's actually this thing. This thing is actually here? What did you see?" Lin Xian was shocked. He also came to the sky. The next moment he was also stunned. Under the 81 green will-o'-the-wisps, the hall below could be seen clearly. On the ground of the hall there was a huge pattern. What kind of pattern was that? It was a black fish and a white fish. They formed a circle. This was the yin-yang fish. Lin was shocked. He Shan said, "This is not an ordinary yin-yang fish. It has another name, Taiji." Taiji. Lin was taken aback. It's very similar to the Taiji. Indeed, he had interacted with the yin-yang sect more than once. The other party's yin-yang diagram was half black and half white. It was extremely profound. It should have been passed down from Taiji. Both of them were essentially the same thing. However, Taiji was even more mysterious. The two yin-yang fish spiraled, but the eyes of the two fish were completely different. Lin Xian was surprised to find that the eyes of the black yin fish were white, while the eyes of the white yang fish were black. This was indeed different from the Taiji of the Taiji. The Taiji of the Taiji was half black and half white. There was no such phenomenon. Is that Taiji? That's right, it's the Taiji yin-yang diagram. Could it be that some kind of existence built all of this here? But what's his purpose? Is it for the death mist? He Shan kept guessing. Lin Xian was puzzled. What do you know? Who is that person? Do you know someone from the same era as you? He asked a series of questions. He Shan took a deep breath. He's not from the same era as me. I've been around for too long. There was such a legend in the primordial era. Yin and Yang, who was stronger and who was weaker. Yin and Yang coexisted and ruled the world. Yin and Yang in the world. Some people cultivated Yang while others cultivated Yin. It was very terrifying when cultivated to the extreme. However, no one had ever tried to combine these two forces. Until a person appeared. He tried to combine the two forces but he failed. In the years that followed, there were more than once people who tried to combine the power of Yin and Yang, but they all failed. In the end, a person appeared. That person succeeded and condensed Taiji. However, his inheritance was not passed down. It had been lost. Only the Taiji yin-yang diagram was passed down. The Taiji you mentioned should be a branch of the Taiji yin-yang sect, right? Everyone has different insights when looking at yin and yang. The owner of this palace should also be comprehending yin and yang. Yin and yang, the great Tao of heaven and earth. This person has a broad scheme. I wonder if he succeeded. I think he should have failed. If he succeeded, his name would have spread across the universe. However, there was no news of him at all. He Shan muttered to himself. Bus. Lin Xian was surprised. He felt that these words contained the great Tao of heaven and earth. Therefore he landed on the ground and carefully sensed the Taiji Yin-Yang diagram. He walked slowly along the Taiji Yin-Yang diagram. Then he sat cross-legged and tried to comprehend it. The following days were very difficult. Bai Gu curled up at the side, not daring to breathe loudly. He Shan floated around and studied the surroundings. Lin Xian had been comprehending the Taiji Yin-Yang diagram. The Taiji Yin-Yang diagram was indeed mysterious. Lin Xian comprehended it and had a deeper understanding of his own great Tao of heaven and earth. However, he still did not understand the reason for the fog of death. He Shan said, "Kid, how long do you plan to comprehend here? 10 years or 100 years? Why don't you leave like this? Come back when you have the chance in the future." Or rather, he would directly take away this huge Taiji Yin-Yang diagram. He also felt that the surroundings were strange. He did not know who this owner was. It made him feel a little strange. Lin Xian also stood up. He said, "Let's see if there's a way to take this Taiji Yin-Yang diagram away. This is a good thing." He was not willing to let such a good thing go to waste here. With a wave of his hand, the vermilion bird divine feather flew out, releasing an incomparable light. Then, it stabbed into the ground, wanting to completely pry open the Taiji Yin-Yang diagram and take it away. However, with this move, the Taiji Yin-Yang diagram actually started to spin. It was very slow at first, but it became faster and faster. The Taiji Yin-Yang diagram completely merged into one. Not good. Lin Xian felt an extremely terrifying force enveloping him. His nine-yang divine body instantly cracked. With a cold shout, the nine-yang divine body bloomed with light and quickly recovered. At the same time, sword chi covered his body, forming a dragon-shaped sword realm armor to block. However, he still could not block this force. It was really too strong. The white bones were instantly torn to shreds. Chapter 3577. Black Mountain floated to Lin Xian's side and released her great sage aura, but it was useless. This was true power and Black Mountain couldn't scare the other party. He said, "Kid, take out the Great Sage Pagoda." Lin Xian had no choice but to take out the Great Sage Pagoda and cover his body. With a clang, the Great Sage Pagoda suffered an endless impact. It made a sonorous sound. However, it was blocked in the end. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief and looked outside. At this moment, a faint voice sounded between heaven and earth. Tao begets one, one begets two, two begets three, and three begets all things. All things carry yin and embrace yang. Rushing qi into harmony is taiji. This voice was ancient, low, and desolate, making one's soul tremble. Even Black Mountain was shocked and his eyes widened. Lin Xian also removed the Great Sage Pagoda and appeared again. He found that the yin-yang diagram in front of him gradually slowed down and finally quieted down again. What was going on? Lin Xian was shocked. Black Mountain said, "Kid, this might be a chance for you to comprehend the secret of Taiji." Comprehend the secret of Taiji? Lin Xian was shocked. As expected, he saw the Taiji diagram in front of him change again. Countless black fog appeared where the yin fish was. It was the fog of death, emitting a cold aura. Suddenly Lin Xian's hair stood on end. He couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Why was there so much death aura? What was going on? Lin Xian frowned. Black Mountain was also shocked. He looked carefully. "I finally know." "What do you know?" Black Mountain said, "Look, the Taiji diagram is also formed by the yin-yang fish. The yin fish represented the power of the moon, while the yang fish represented the power of the sun. The power of the moon was replaced by the fog of death. However, the power of the sun was actually missing. This also means that if you can make up for it, you can understand the secret of the Taiji diagram left behind by the other party." As he said that, he looked at Lin Xian again. "Kid, your luck is too good, isn't it?" What should he say? Lin Xian asked. "Now, even I can't forcefully steal this secret because only you can do it. In order to replenish the power of the sun, it must be the power of the purest yang. I am a ghost, so I belong to the power of cold yin. If I tried to take it by force, I would be instantly shrouded in the fog of death. Even if I didn't die, I would be severely injured. But you don't agree. The 9-yang divine body is originally a body of the purest yang. Therefore, even if others saw this Taiji diagram, they would not be able to take it away. Only you can take it. Kid, are you willing to take the risk and give it a try?" Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He knew that Heishan was right, but there was still a huge risk involved. Would his 9 yang divine body be able to withstand the power of the moon? That was the power of the death mist. However, he wasn't willing to leave. This was the secret of Taiji. Once he grasped it, he would be able to grasp the power of yin and yang. The yin and yang qi were originally the most primordial auras in the world. If he could comprehend it, it would definitely be a huge improvement to his strength. Furthermore, he might even be able to block the death fog with it. So after thinking about it, he gritted his teeth and said, "I'll go all out." He walked towards the yang fish. In the next moment, he felt the power of the death mist invading him. He released his divine body to the extreme. "Come on, Lin Shen will not be afraid of you." The 9 yang divine fire burned fiercely on Lin Shen's body. Boundless flames spread. On the other side, the death mist surged. He was gradually enveloped by the death mist. "Block it for me." He gritted his teeth and roared, constantly circulating his body. Lin Shen felt that his vitality was instantly snatched away. This made all the hair on his body stand on end. However, he did not retreat. Instead, he roared crazily and circulated his body crazily. Just like that, 49 days passed. Suddenly, the yin and yang merged. The Taiji diagram under his feet spun again, carrying the power of the death mist and the 9 yang divine fire. Finally, it entered Lin Shen's body and disappeared. As for Lin Shen's body, it was completely enveloped by the yin and yang qi. A Taiji diagram appeared behind him. Did he succeed? When Heishan saw this scene, he was extremely nervous. He knew that this was an earth-shattering gamble. If he won, the benefits would be endless. However, if he lost, it was very likely that he would be sucked dry and turned into a pile of bones. As he waited nervously, the Taiji diagram slowly spun and finally disappeared completely. Lin Shen did not open his eyes. Instead, he sat down cross-legged again. There was a new message in his mind. This was a great divine ability that could combine the power of yin and yang to cultivate. It was called the Taiji art. At the same time, an aged voice rang out, reverberating in his mind. "Fated one, remember my name. Jianghu. Bring Taiji to greater heights." Lin Shen was shocked. So it was the Taiji diagram left behind by Jianghu. The Taiji art was a divine ability that Jianghu created based on the most primitive Taiji diagram. Who was this Jianghu? Where did he get the Taiji diagram? How powerful was the Taiji art? How terrifying was the real Taiji? The Taiji diagram was a yin-yang fish diagram. However, everyone would have different understandings and insights when they looked at it. The divine abilities and martial arts that they created were also different. Jianghu created the Taiji art, which was also what Lin Shen was cultivating now. After cultivating for a month, Lin Shen opened his eyes. He stood up and slowly exhaled. "I've succeeded. I've already started cultivating the Taiji art. However, I don't know its power yet. I need to try it out." After saying that, he walked out. The black door opened and he walked out. He looked at the black palace and soared into the sky. There was nothing worth investigating here. The biggest secret was the Taiji diagram. He had already obtained it. As far as he knew, this palace was created by Jianghu. He used the fog of death here as the power of yin and then studied the secrets of Taiji. The human skins outside were all powerful saints. At that time, due to various reasons, they came to this world of death and were captured by Jianghu. They were used as guinea pigs for various experiments. Countless saints were sacrificed before the Taiji art was finally created. Now, Lin Shen wanted to test the power of the Taiji art. He flew all the way and left the world of death. Heishan jumped. "Damn kid, what are you doing?" He quickly returned to the crescent moon pendant and asked quickly. Lin Shen didn't say anything. Instead, he went into the fog of death. Damn, has this kid gone crazy from cultivating? Is he trying to kill himself? Heishan was surprised, but he soon realized that something was wrong. Lin Shen didn't die at all in the fog of death. Instead, he was like a fish in water, shuttling through it quickly. Soon he rushed out and returned to the world of death. He looked at his own body and then laughed out loud. Great, it was a success. Taiji was indeed mysterious. He could use the power of the fog of death. Chapter 3578. Tai Chi was a kind of Tao. In the world of Tai Chi, the power of the world was divided into two types. One was called the power of the moon, and the other was called the power of the sun. The power of the moon included all the cold and dark power. For example, this fog of death could steal one's life force. It was extremely cold and belonged to the power of the moon. The power of the sun represented all the power of the sun. For example, flames and thunder belonged to the power of the sun. At this moment, after Lin Xian cultivated Tai Chi, he could naturally use the power of the moon. Therefore, this fog of death was no longer a threat to him. Instead, it became his greatest help. Damn kid, you really succeeded? Black Mountain was also very surprised. This way you don't have to be afraid of the fog of death. You can travel through the fog of death. The other saints would probably pee their pants when they saw this scene. Lin Xian nodded. In theory that's true. However, I've just cultivated the Tai Chi diagram and can't stay in the fog of death for too long. But it doesn't matter. As I cultivate, one day I will be completely fearless of the fog of death. In the following time, Lin Xian cultivated Tai Chi in this world of death. As he tempered his divine body, he absorbed the power of the fog of death. There was a Tai Chi diagram in his body that kept spinning. When he could condense the law of yin and yang, its power would be even more terrifying. In this way, Lin Xian became more and more proficient in the power of Tai Chi. At first, he could only get close to the fog of death for a short period of time. As he cultivated, the time he could enter the fog of death also increased. In the end, he could even use some of the fog of death as a means of attack. This made him unconsciously excited. On this day, Lin Xian was still cultivating, but in the world of death, a ray of light quickly descended. After this ray of light descended, it transformed into 3 figures. These 3 figures were in a sorry state. And that ray of light drew a scroll that floated in the masked woman's hand. Many cracks appeared on the surface of the scroll. The decree actually broke. We can't fly anymore. We can only stay here for now. Let's see if there's a way to repair it. The masked woman said. These 3 people were none other than Wuxia and the other 2. Wuxia had many guards by her side, but now there were only 2 left. Other than herself, there was also a little maid, Xiaoqing. The other one was a young woman. All 3 of them were injured and their faces were pale. It was obvious that they had been chased all the way here. Their arrival naturally attracted Lin Xian's attention. Lin Xian sensed their presence through the death mist. When he saw the 3 of them, he was also greatly surprised. It was actually the 3 of them. The 3 of them had actually come here. How could Lin Xian forget Wuxia? It was because of her that he ended up here. However, wasn't the other party being hunted down by people from the Fiend planet? It was truly inconceivable that he could escape. Back then, the Fiend Star had dispatched 2 bewilderment fog ships to chase after the other party. What sort of battle power was that? The other party actually managed to escape. That was really surprising. He wanted to go out, but He Shan said that something was wrong. He told Lin Xian something. This caused Lin Xian to temporarily hide, and he did not go out to meet with the other party. Instead, he observed from the shadows. After landing in the world of death, Wuxia and the other 2 began to explore their surroundings. They found that there was nothing but black trees around them. There were no people, no demon beasts, only desolation and death. After all, there was not much death mist here, so it was safe. Therefore, the 3 of them also seized the time to recover. Wuxia swallowed some heavenly materials and began to study the decree in her hand. Her delicate face was unbelievably pale. It was obvious that she had used many methods, but she was unable to repair the decree in her hand. Little Qing was also anxious at the side. That woman did not say anything, but her hands were hidden in her embroidered robes, forming hand seals. No one knew what she was doing. After about a few days, a meteor fell from the sky into the world of death, turning into a figure. It was a black-robed man with a sinister smile on his face. As soon as he arrived, he spread out his soul and enveloped the entire world. I found you. He turned into a stream of light and flew quickly, breaking through the void. Soon he arrived in front of Wuxia and the others. Bitch, you can't escape. Damn it, you actually came. Wuxia and the other 2 were as if they were facing a great enemy. Their faces were ugly. This was impossible. Little Qing screamed. Wuxia's face was also cold. How did you find us? Could it be that you set up some array on us again? This shouldn't be. They had carefully checked. The tracking array had long been destroyed by them. Previously, she had indeed been chased by 2 fog ships. Her guards had tried their best to protect her, but they had all fallen. In the end, she had escaped with the decree in her hand. Then, she had completely lost her direction and came here. Originally, she thought that the most troublesome thing was that the decree in her hand was damaged. She was afraid that she could only wait for the passing fog ship. But she did not expect that the people of Demon Island would be able to find her. Was it a coincidence or was there another reason? Run, why aren't you running? You actually made us spend so much time, you really deserve to die 10,000 times. Damn poison hand, don't go too far. What do you want? Yu Shijie shouted, her eyes filled with a cold light. We are not afraid of you now. You are the only one who came. Do you think you can catch us? We have 3 people on our side. What do I want? Yu Shijie, aren't you asking the obvious? Don't you know the bloodline of your Yu family? You are the little princess of Yu family. Do you still need me to tell you the effect of your bloodline? If I'm not wrong, you haven't slept with other men, right? Just give me your first time. The effect will definitely make my strength undergo an earth-shattering change. Ah. Speaking of this, he roared towards the sky, his eyes burning with a fiery light. Originally, capturing you was the order of the crazy demon child to capture you and then send you to the demon child. But now I have changed my mind. There are only a few of us here. I will not send you back to the demon child. I will train you to become my woman. Thinking of this, Poison Hand was excited. With Yu family's bloodline, it could nourish all things. It could definitely make his body, soul, and bloodline reach the next level. It was even possible for him to break through. This was simply a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So he would definitely not let the other party go. If you are dreaming. Yu Shijie snorted coldly. Little Qing also said that we will definitely not let you succeed. We will protect little sister with our lives. Is that so? You think so, but others don't think so. Poison Hand sneered. What do you mean? Little Qing shouted angrily. Yu Shijie's expression changed. Chapter 3579. Just as she finished thinking, she heard a scream. Little Qing's heart had been pierced, and she fell to the ground, twitching. Who told you that I would protect my sister? The middle-aged woman revealed a cold smile. The killing sword in her hand flickered with light, and blood dripped from its surface. Betrayed by her own people, she had been ambushed by her own people. What a wonderful scene. Poison Hand laughed heartily as if victory was already in his grasp. Damn it, you actually dared to betray your sister. Betray the Rain clan. Little Qing said weakly on the ground. The sword had pierced her heart. With her cultivation it was not that fatal. However, the sword's surface was covered in poison. That poison was not something a first-layer saint could withstand, and could only silently accept death. However, she did not believe that someone would betray their sister. What? Why did you betray me? Yu Shijie asked through gritted teeth. My Rain clan has never treated you unfairly. Is that so? The middle-aged woman sneered. However, the Fiend Star can give me even more. Alright, Yu Shijie, do you think you can still escape? Kneel down and serve me obediently. I can let you suffer less. Otherwise, I will make you wish you were dead. I will let you live in pain every day. In any case, I have plenty of time. No one in this world can find me. Saying this, he laughed complacently. Yu Shijie felt her entire body turn cold. Her heart sank to the bottom. Was she going to despair? Fall into the hands of this fiend? Thinking of the future, she felt that death was better than living. She wanted to kill herself, but she did not have the courage. Her hands were trembling. She said, Have you ever thought about how the Rain clan will react after you capture me? You should know how important I am to the Rain clan. If something happens to me, the Rain clan will go crazy. At that time, do you think you can survive? Therefore, I advise you to leave obediently and let me live. It will be beneficial for both you and me. Yu Shijie, you are still dreaming. I admit that your Rain clan is very powerful, and you are very important to the Rain clan, but so what? I only need to capture you and enjoy you. When I obtain the nourishment of your bloodline, I will go into seclusion for 500 years. At that time, no matter how powerful your Jade clan is, where will you find me? I will give you 5 seconds. Will you kneel down and serve me, or do you want me to do it? The fire in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. However, at this time he was stunned. A purple mouse ran out of his clothes and kept squeaking at a space far away. Who is it? Get out here. Merciless Tyrant roared furiously and countered with a palm strike. A large green palm submerged the entire space. The space shattered and a figure walked out from it. To be able to discover my existence. The young woman and Yu Shijie were both taken aback. They had already been here for many days. He didn't realize that there were people in this world. Who was this person? Where did it come from? In an instant they thought of many things and looked over at the same time. The two of them exclaimed at the same time. To be honest, he was really too shocked. The middle-aged woman and Yu Shijie were also surprised. They realized that this person was Lin Xian. They had seen him before. Shouldn't he have been captured by the people of the Fiend Planet? Why was he here? Could it be that he was related to the Fiend Planet? Thinking of this, Yu Shiqia's heart became nervous again. Poison Hand was even more shocked. That shouldn't be. Didn't this kid fall into the fog of death and die? How could he still be alive? This was too unbelievable. Back then he knew that Lin Xian had escaped, but so what? Lin Xian didn't have the chaos soil. He couldn't even walk a meter in the fog of death. Lin Xian would definitely die. But now Lin Xian had appeared here unscathed. It was too strange. Could it be that he had the chaos soil? It seemed that he had been careless. Poison Hand snorted coldly. He didn't expect that there would be a fish that escaped. It would be terrible if he let Lin Xian escape. But now that Lin Xian had appeared here, the heavens were helping him. If I kill you, no one will know about me and Yu Shiqia. Indeed, if Lin Xian spread the news a little, then the people of the Rain clan would naturally know what he had done. However, he would not allow such a thing to happen right now. You reckless idiot. Obediently come over and take care of me. As he spoke, a large green palm covered the sky. The void shattered and a terrifying poisonous gas erupted. The world shook. Lin Xian instantly dodged and appeared in another space. He looked down like a god. You actually dared to do such a shameful thing. You want to kill me? Can you do it? He dodged. Poison Hand's face was cold. Lin Xian was faster than he had imagined. The woman sneered. Just a brat. Let me deal with him. The killing sword on the woman's body moved again. A terrifying Dao pattern flowed and slashed forward. On the other side, Yu Shiqia took advantage of this opportunity to attack Poison Hand. Poison Hand sneered and fought. In truth, Yu Shiqia was very excited because this was an opportunity. She was also a favored daughter of the heavens. In a one-on-one fight, she wasn't afraid of Poison Hand. So now, someone was restraining the woman. This was the best opportunity for her. However, after exchanging 3 blows, Yu Shiqia's body swayed and she spat out a mouthful of blood. She felt dizzy. Not good, she was poisoned. Yu Shiqia quickly retreated, her face pale. Damn it, how was this possible? She knew that her opponent was a saint who used poison and had been on guard. It was impossible for her to fight poison. Moreover, she didn't feel that she had been ambushed. What was going on? Could it be that the woman from before had done this? She hadn't known that the woman was a traitor, so she hadn't been on guard. At that time, she had been frightened by the woman and had been poisoned. Damn it, she had been careless. Yu Shiqia could feel her strength fading away, but Merciless Tyrant was laughing heartily. Little girl, do you think you can escape from me? You want to fight me? You don't know the difference between life and death. Don't worry, I'll let you have a taste of heaven later. He sneered and didn't immediately make a move. He was now a cat and he could toy with his opponent as he wished. He was prepared to deal with Lin Xian first to prevent future trouble. But when he looked, it didn't matter. He was instantly stunned. Chapter 3580. It turned out that the young woman was instantly sent flying. Half of her body exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Ah! The young woman screamed, her face full of fear. She could not believe it. How could the other party be so strong? The other party was just an ant at the first level of heaven. He quickly retreated. Lin Xian, on the other hand, charged forward. The sword aura around his body tore apart the heavens and the earth as he charged forward. In an instant, it enveloped the young woman. The young woman was scared out of her wits. At the critical moment, a blue bead appeared between her brows and spun non-stop, blocking the sword chi. However, in just an instant, the blue bead was shattered, and the young woman was also cut into many pieces. Ah! A miserable scream sounded. The young woman's soul instantly escaped from her body, wanting to escape. However, Lin Xian shot out a wave of flames that enveloped the entire area. Her soul screamed miserably in the flames. Poison Prince, hurry up and save me. The young woman begged for mercy. The Poison Prince's expression was cold. What a piece of trash. He reached out a large green hand and grabbed forward. A terrifying poison spread in the flames and instantly enveloped the young woman's soul. Thank you, Poison Prince. Before she could finish speaking, the young woman screamed again. Damn it, how dare you attack me? She realized that the Poison Prince had enveloped her. Not only did he not save her, but he had also destroyed her soul. What? Before she died, the young woman let out a roar of unwillingness. Poison Prince sneered. What? You're asking me why? Your mission has been completed. As long as you're alive, I have to pay you a sum of natural treasures. If you're dead, I don't have to pay anything. Moreover, Yu Shiqia is already mine. She can't escape. What's the use of keeping you? I hate you. I hate you so much. The young woman's soul screamed at the sky. Soon it was completely obliterated by the green poisonous hand. Lin Xian looked at this scene with a cold expression. What a vicious method. What a ruthless heart. On the other side, Yu Shiqia's face was also pale. If she fell into the hands of such a demonic person, would she have a good ending? Therefore she turned to look at Lin Xian. Young Master Lin, I have a request. Can you help me kill this person? Or rather, you saved my life. As long as you save me, house, you will be eternally grateful. Yu Shiqia, are you retarded? You're actually placing your hopes on a level 1 ant? Merciless tyrant sneered, completely unperturbed. Don't worry, I agree to your request. I will help you kill this person. Lin Xian said coldly. In fact, it did not matter even if he did not agree, because it seemed like merciless tyrant would not let him live. Since that was the case, there was bound to be a battle between the two sides. Then why didn't he agree to Yu Shiqia's request? He could even earn a favor from House Yu. This way it would be more convenient for him in the second astral realm. With this in mind, Lin Xian looked at merciless tyrant. You want to fight me with just you? Poisonous tyrant's eyes were filled with disdain. He was no ordinary saint. Instead, he was a third heaven saint. Adding on his poison Dao, his strength was unparalleled. Moreover, this time he had a terrifying saint weapon in his hand, so he was not afraid of anyone. Go to hell. He opened his mouth and spat out thousands of green poisonous arrows. These poisonous arrows were incomparably poisonous. Even a level 3 heaven saint would die from the poison. In an instant, they densely covered the place where Lin Xian was. Bus. Lin Xian's 5 elemental law flew out and turned into a 5 elemental mountain, enveloping him. It blocked the poisonous arrows. Useless brat, you're still too young to fight me with the Tao of heaven and earth. The poison Tao and 5 elemental law collided continuously, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. Bus. Lin Xian's black hair danced wildly. Like a demon, he attacked mercilessly. His golden palm turned into a heavenly monument, striking out continuously. It exploded in all directions, knocking away all the arrows. The difference in laws? Do you think that's possible? Do you really think you can kill me? Damn it, how could this be? Merciless tyrant was stunned. He did not expect the opponent to be so powerful that he could knock away all the poisonous arrows he shot. It was unbelievable. One had to know that there was a difference of 3 realms between the two of them. Merciless tyrant could crush the other party with just his cultivation and heaven and earth laws. But the other party was actually able to withstand it. It was really too strange. This brat was very strange. He must have secrets. He had to capture him. He rushed over. Lin Xian also fought with the other party. As they fought, he flew out of the realm. He did not want Yu Shiqia to see some of his techniques. For example, he had just obtained the Taiji art. Therefore, the two of them fought in the sky for 9 days. Yu Shiqia watched nervously from below. At the same time, she swallowed treasures to neutralize her poison. High up in the sky, merciless tyrant's expression was cold. Damn it, how was this possible? Who are you? He roared crazily. He really could not believe it. How could an ant of the first heavenly layer be able to contend with him for so long? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Go ask the king of hell. His fist bloomed with incomparable light. It was like a sun that illuminated the entire sky. He smashed it forward. The surrounding poisonous gas was ignited and turned to ashes. If you don't have any other methods, you can die. Lin Xian's voice was cold. Kid, I wanted to play with you, but I don't have that much time now. I'll kill you immediately and then enjoy the beauties below. So now you can die. As he spoke, he took out a bronze pot. It looked like a teapot. It was beautifully crafted, but there were countless ferocious demonic beasts on the surface, dark green in color. Kid, this is the myriad poison pot. It's a holy artifact. Do you think you can still fight me? Merciless tyrant laughed. This was his true trump card. No matter how strong the other party was, could he block a holy artifact? A holy artifact, the myriad poison pot? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that he could feel the terror of a holy artifact. The poisonous gas on his face gave him a sense of deadly threat. This merciless tyrant was very strong. No wonder he could make Yu Shiqia so miserable. Lin Xian sneered. So what if you have a holy artifact? Do you think you can kill me with a holy artifact? You really don't know what's good for you. As he spoke, he turned into a streak of light and flew into the distance. You want to leave? Do you think you can escape? Kid, it's useless. You can't escape from the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Merciless tyrant sneered when he saw Lin Xian's actions. He thought the other party was afraid, so he quickly chased after him. Soon he blocked Lin Xian's path. Run, keep running. Do you think I'll let you run? Chapter 3581. The two of them had already arrived at the outer realm. They were surrounded by the terrifying mist of death, but both of them were at the edge. Kid, the mist of death is in front of you. You have no way out. Kneel down obediently and I can give you a quick death. Obediently become a vengeful soul under my myriad poison pot. The myriad poison pot in his hand emitted a dark green light like the eyes of a monster. Right? Then let me show you what I'm capable of. At this point Lin Xian formed a seal. He used the Tai Chi art, and the Tai Chi diagram in his body began to spin. The surrounding mist rolled and a chilly wind blew. The mist of death began to spread toward them. Feeling the chilly wind, Merciless Tyrant's body trembled, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. He saw the mist of death begin to roll, but he did not think that it was Lin Xian's doing. He thought that there was a storm inside the mist of death. Therefore he could not wait to make a move. Go to hell for me. The myriad poison pot lowered, shooting out beams of green light one after another. A total of 8 beams of green light fell from the sky. They carried the laws of the Great Tao and completely enveloped Lin Xian. Go to hell for me. He believed that a third heaven sage would not be able to block it. Even a fourth heaven sage would die without a doubt. Lin Xian also struck out with his palm. The surrounding weapons of death were completely mobilized, and they turned into countless black torrents that swept over. In an instant they blocked the dark green path of poison. How is this possible? He blocked it? I don't believe it. Merciless Tyrant roared crazily. In the next moment he sucked in a breath of cold air because he realized that what was blocking him was none other than the death fog. The mist of death turned into 8 black vortexes that blocked his path of poison. Is this the mist of death? Damn it, is this a coincidence? Otherwise, how could this kid block it? You're just lucky, but your luck has come to an end. Lin Xian smiled. Lucky? Then I'll show you my strength. He waved his hand and the mist of death rolled again, forming 2 large black hands that grabbed forward. You can control the mist of death? Impossible. Merciless Tyrant screamed in fear. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. What did he see? He saw the most inconceivable scene which really made him break down. No one could control the mist of death. Not even minor saints dared to enter it, so they could only call it the mist ship. Only by wearing armor made of the chaotic earth could they carefully travel through the chaotic earth. Even so, they still had a slim chance of survival. Yet now, there was actually someone capable of controlling the primal chaos mist. This was simply unheard of. Therefore, in an instant he was scared silly. It wasn't until the 2 ghost weeping hands arrived in front of him that he screamed and came back to his senses. In an instant he activated the chaos armor. First, he isolated himself from the deathly aura of the deathly mist. Then he placed the myriad poison pot in front of him. The myriad poison pot released countless green poisonous liquid, forming a shield in front of him. When it collided with the 2 black palms, an earth-shattering sound rang out. Merciless Tyrant was sent flying, a trickle of blood trickling down the corner of his mouth. Damn it, this is too strange. He was so scared that his scalp went numb. He didn't dare to exchange blows with the other party anymore. This was a monster. Now his only thought was to take Wuxia away and leave for good. Turning into a stream of light, he quickly shuttled through the air. Lin Xian sneered. Do you want to leave? Do you think you can? The Tai Chi incantation completely erupted, and the surrounding deathly mist completely boiled, turning into countless black waves that rushed over. In an instant the entire world was completely enveloped. No, damn it, get out of my way. Merciless Tyrant was scared out of his wits. He was completely surrounded. He could only use the chaos armor to support himself and the myriad poison pot in his hand to the extreme. In this situation, even if he encountered a 4th heaven saint, he could still escape. Unfortunately, he encountered Lin Xian. Under normal circumstances, he might be able to escape with his life. But now, surrounded by so much deathly mist, he couldn't escape at all. He was completely surrounded and he screamed miserably. Even though he was wearing the chaos armor now, he couldn't survive. Even the sacred artifact couldn't save his life. The chaotic earth could resist the deathly mist, but it also depended on the quantity. Only the size of the fog ship could completely resist it. The chaos armor could only resist for a while. And now the deathly mist was actively attacking. It was different from when those people shuttled through it. Its power was 10 times more terrifying. In the land of darkness, Lin Xian directly shattered Merciless Tyrant's armor with a punch, causing him to completely lose his resistance. The surrounding mist sucked his vitality dry, and even his soul was sucked dry. In almost the blink of an eye, Merciless Tyrant turned into human skin, white bones, and finally even the bones and skin melted. Only the broken armor was still floating in the air and of course the myriad poison pot. Lin Xian put away the armor fragments, which all contained the chaotic earth. Then he looked at the myriad poison pot. As a sacred artifact, the myriad poison pot was very intelligent. After its master died, it immediately turned into a stream of light and fled. However, Lin Xian used the deathly mist to envelop it. Finally he pulled it in, sucked it dry and sealed it. Then Lin Xian threw it into the Great Sage Pagoda and let the astral fire erase its soul imprint. In the future he would slowly refine it. His body swayed and he walked out of the deathly mist and descended. Below, Wuxia had temporarily stopped the poison, but her expression was somewhat ugly. She was completely enveloped by the black mist, and she couldn't see clearly at all. She couldn't remember when the deathly mist had arrived. But at this moment she saw a figure quickly descend. Who was it? She became nervous again. If it was Merciless Tyrant, then she would definitely die. When she saw the figure, she heaved a sigh of relief. It was Lin Xian. She couldn't wait to ask, "Where's Merciless Tyrant?" "He's already dead." "What dead?" Wuxia was shocked. She couldn't believe this result. It was simply too unbelievable. She asked, "Did you kill him? Are you sure?" "He's dead. I broke his chaotic armor, and the deathly mist sucked his life force dry. So he was killed by the deathly mist." Wuxia heaved a sigh of relief. She knew it. How could Lin Xian kill Merciless Tyrant? He couldn't beat the other party. However, she still said, "Thank you, Sir Lin, for your help." Lin Xian nodded, then asked, "How are your injuries?" "It's already under control. In a few days it will be completely removed." "What about the agreement from before?" "Don't worry about that. I said that you saved my life, and the Rain clan will thank you greatly. I heard you say that anything is fine. Are you sure you're telling the truth?" Lin Xian suddenly smiled, then looked at her. Chapter 3582. Wuxia felt Lin Xian's gaze and immediately blushed. Could it be that this fellow had designs on her? Thinking of this, she subconsciously took 2 steps back. Then she said in a low voice, "Regardless of whether you want a cultivation method or a rare treasure, I can get it for you." Lin Xian nodded again. Then he smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm not a bad person. However, the most important thing right now was to think about how to leave this place. At the very least, how to reach the second astral realm." Seeing Lin Xian not do anything out of the ordinary, Wuxia let out a sigh of relief. She said, "This is indeed a rather troublesome matter. My Rain clan's decree is damaged. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been forced to descend here. It's extremely difficult to cross the death zone with just the 2 of us. It's practically a 9 out of 10 chance of dying." Rain clan's decree, what was that? Lin Xian was shocked. Hearing her tone, it seemed that it wasn't damaged and could leave this place. "It's a treasure of my Rain clan, and also my most precious treasure." As she spoke, she flipped her hand and took out a scroll. It was a simple and unadorned scroll. There were a few cracks on it, indicating that it was damaged. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. As for Heishan, he was shocked. "Kid, take it out and let me take a look." Hearing this, Lin Xian's brows twitched. "Could it be something good?" He said, "Can I take a look?" "All right." Wuxia handed it over. Lin Xian opened it and discovered that it was an extremely ancient scroll. It wasn't large, only the size of 2 palms. There were heaven and earth Dao patterns carved on it. However, this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that there was a simple character in the middle of the decree. He didn't recognize it. He only felt that it was a talisman. Great Dao talisman? It was too simple. There were only a few strokes. What was this? He was shocked, but he didn't show it. He secretly asked, "Hey Shan, do you know what this is?" This should be a character from a Dao scripture. This Rain clan wasn't ordinary. They could actually obtain a character from a Dao scripture. Lin Xian was shocked. Dao scripture? What was that? This was a very ancient scripture. Every word contained the great Dao of heaven and earth. It was said that it had already been lost. Only a few scattered characters were left behind in the myriad worlds. Who would have thought that the Rain clan would actually have a character in their hands? No wonder he could escape the pursuit of the bewilderment fog ship. Hearing this explanation, Lin Xian was also very surprised. It seemed that this item was very precious. He asked, Black Mountain, can you repair it? Sure. Black Mountain took a look and said, the damage isn't that bad. The core isn't damaged, so I can repair it. Kid, you can negotiate with her now. Lin Xian nodded, indicating that he understood. Then he raised his head to look at Yu Shijie. I can fix your decree. You can fix it? Yu Shijie was stunned. She couldn't believe it. The decree was a very wonderful magic treasure. Although it was not a sacred item, it was better than a sacred item. Really? That's great. Yu Shijie was excited. Lin Xian said, don't get too excited. I have a condition. Didn't you say that you would agree to any condition since I saved you? That's good. Give me the decree. This way it can be considered as repaying me for saving your life. I can also fix this decree. Next, I will take you away and return to the second astral realm. What do you think? Give it to you? Yu Shijie was stunned. She didn't think that Lin Xian would actually want this thing. To be honest, she hesitated. This thing was very precious. In the Rain clan there weren't many of them. It was also a treasure in her hands. Now, she wanted to give it to someone else? She was unwilling, but there was no other way. She had already promised the other party before, and the other party had indeed saved her life. Moreover, now that the decree was broken, it was a piece of trash in her hands. But in the other party's hands it could be repaired. Thinking about it, Yu Shijie decided that in order to save her life. She nodded and said, okay. Then you can recover here for a while. I'll repair it. Lin Xian stood up and walked into the distance. In the following days, Yu Shijie began to recover. As for Lin Xian, he began to repair the decree with Black Mountain. After about 20 days, the decree was repaired. When Lin Xian took it, Yu Shijie was very surprised. Then, under Lin Xian's suggestion, Yu Shijie removed her soul imprint on the decree. Then she let Lin Xian plant his own soul imprint. Then she told him how to use it. Lin Xian took it and cultivated for 2 days. Then he said that they could go. This decree was indeed divine. Under Lin Xian's control, it was like a spirit boat. The ancient scripture characters on the surface flickered with light. The great Tao of heaven and earth formed rain that wrapped around them. Lin Xian felt that this rain was very wonderful. It could nourish all things and provide a strong vitality. No wonder the other party could pass through the fog of death so quickly. They even avoided the fog boat's pursuit. Yu Shijie had a chaos armor. Lin Xian didn't have it. He didn't need to use it, but in order not to attract attention he still got a set. This set was obtained from the young woman. After he passed through it, he and Yu Shijie went on their way. They left the world of death and entered the fog of death. They began their long journey through time. After about half a year, Yu Shijie stood up and looked ahead, revealing a hint of excitement. She felt the aura of their world. Have we arrived? Lin Xian asked. Soon they would arrive in a month. Yu Shijie was anxious. To be honest, this adventure was really too thrilling. Originally, she thought that if she kept a low profile, no one would be able to recognize her. Although she found someone tracking her in the first astral realm, she was completely relaxed with the Milky Way. Who would have thought that the Milky Way would be intercepted by the demon star? What followed was a life and death escape. She was chased by Poison Hand and even betrayed by her own people. In the end, she was poisoned and narrowly escaped death. Just as she was about to fall into the hands of Poison Hand, she was saved by Lin Xian. At that moment, Lin Xian was like a god. In the following days, she was also on tenterhooks, afraid that the people of the demon star would come to kill her. Fortunately, they finally arrived at their world. The Rain clan's influence was very large and controlled 2 worlds. This strength far surpassed those of the families and sects in the first astral realm. After flying for more than 10 days, even Lin Xian felt better. He found that this 2-star realm was indeed extraordinary. Starting from the first astral realm, he didn't know how brilliant it was. Especially the use of the universe's starry sky, it was simply too exquisite. The first astral realm was dominated by its own star world. There were very few people in the outer realm. Even if there were, it was a battle between saints or just passing by. But it was different here. The outer realm's starry sky was completely used. All sorts of formations were set up to form a huge star field. Here the world looked like a city. The universe was the most vast. So when he came nearby, Lin Xian saw that there were many people in the surrounding void of the universe. When those people saw someone flying over, they also turned their heads to look. The next moment they cried out in surprise. That was the Rain clan's decree. It was Yu Shijie. Chapter 3583. What? The Yu family's little princess? Many people exclaimed. That's right. It must be her. That was the Rain clan's decree. Everyone focused and looked over. Sure enough, they discovered that amidst the endless rain and light, there was a charming figure. There was another person standing beside Wuxia. Moreover, it was a man. Everyone was surprised. What was going on? Rumor had it that Wuxia was very cold. Although her bloodline was amazing and attracted countless geniuses to pursue her. However, she didn't seem to have clearly expressed who she wanted to be with. Usually, other than her own clansmen, she would rarely be alone with a strange man. This time, the two were actually writing the decree together and flying in the sky. Were they traveling together? Could it be that Wuxia had a heart? No way. Who was so fast? Who got Fairy Yu's heart? Screams sounded one after another. There were also people who were interested. This matter was fun. The people who pursued Wuxia were lined up to the end of the world. Who knew what kind of reaction they would have when they saw this scene? There would probably be a big storm. Who knew who that kid was and whether he could withstand the anger of those pursuers? While everyone was discussing, the Rain clan's decree streaked across the void and flew into the distance. Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect this star field to be so prosperous. After flying for about 5 days, Wuxia said that it was in front. Lin Xian raised his head and saw that in front of him, there were 2 blue stars that revolved around each other. These 2 stars were both from the Rain clan. These 2 stars were called the Double Rain Star. Finally they had arrived. Lin Xian came to the Double Rain Star and stopped first. Then he said, Fairy Yu, my promise has finally been completed. I have sent you safely. Why don't we part here? I still have some things to do. You are talking about the matter of the sacred city accepting disciples, right? No need to rush, there is still some time. Moreover, since we are already here, why don't you follow me back to the family and let me treat you well? After all, you saved my life. Moreover, with the Yu family's power, they can help you gather some news about the sacred city. Lin Xian thought about it and then nodded. Alright, since it's like this, then I will disturb you. The 2 of them flew toward the star below. The moment they entered the dual rain planet, there were countless exclamations. Sis, you're back. Sis is finally back. Sis, you don't know how worried we are. Voices could be heard one after another. Wuxia nodded and greeted them. These were all her clansmen. All of a sudden, the void shattered as 4 powerful figures descended from the sky. Lin Xian felt his hair stand on end. He was secretly shocked. Little saint. That's right, the 4 figures that appeared were 4 small saints. When they arrived, they looked at Wuxia. Sis, you're finally back. How could you leave without saying a word? Something happened outside, how would we explain it? The patriarch has been looking for you. You should hurry over. Wuxia had an apologetic look on her face. She said, I'll go apologize to the old ancestor. The 4 minor saints nodded and prepared to teleport. However, at this moment they saw Lin Xian and frowned. Sis, who is this person? There was a trace of sharpness in their eyes. Their house Yu's little princess had never been alone with a strange man before. This made them suspicious. On the way back, I did encounter some danger and almost lost my life. It was this Sir Lin who saved me. He is my savior. My savior. I almost lost my life. The 4 small saints' expressions changed. What was going on? They were too shocked. Wuxia said, Don't worry, elders. I'm back. We'll talk about the details later. As she spoke, she turned to Lin Xian. Sir Lin, I'll go see the old ancestor first. I'll have someone take care of you first. When I'm done here, I'll come see you. With that, Wuxia began to give orders to her subordinates. Immediately, several maids came to receive Lin Xian. Wuxia and the 4 small saints broke through the void and teleported away. The news spread like wildfire. Wuxia's return put the Rain clan at ease. She was the pride of their clan. Nothing could happen to her. They had been in a state of panic. They had even sent people to search everywhere, but there was no trace of her. They didn't expect Wuxia to go to the first astral realm. During this time there had been danger. They were shocked beyond belief. But fortunately she had returned safely in the end. This made them feel completely relieved. However, at the same time they felt even better. This time, Wuxia had brought a man with her. An unfamiliar man. It was unbelievable. Who was he? In an instant it attracted the attention of countless people. On Lin Xian's side, the 3 maids brought him to a valley. Inside the valley, spring water flowed, birds sang and flowers bloomed. It was a scene of immortality. Lin Xian originally thought that he would wait quietly, but he didn't expect that the peace would be broken so quickly. Many people flew over from afar and landed in the valley. Some stepped into the void and asked condescendingly, "Who are you, kid? Why are you with the little princess?" Their eyes carried a trace of coldness. The maids beside them hurriedly said, "Don't mess around. This is Sir Lin. The young miss ordered us to treat him well." Sir Lin? The surrounding people frowned. The Lin clan? Was there a powerful Lin clan in the second astral realm? The Lin clan did, but they weren't qualified to be compared to them. They thought about it and realized that the Lin clan that was worthy of their Rain clan really didn't have one. This made them feel even better. Who was the other party? Could it be that he wasn't from the clan but some sect? They had to figure out the other party's identity. Otherwise, how could a stranger be qualified to stand with their Yu clan's little princess? Therefore, someone continued to ask, "Kid, where are you from?" In response to this answer, Lin Xian only said one sentence. "My surname is Lin. I'm from the Lin clan." What he said was true, but the people around him were indeed stunned. Lin clan. Damn it, which Lin clan was it? Could it really be one of those mediocre Lin clans? They snorted coldly. If it really was that clan, they didn't have the qualifications to come here. Seeing the surrounding people discussing animatedly, Lin Xian also frowned. The three maids said, "You have to leave quickly. Sir Lin just rushed over and needs to rest. It was better not to disturb him." "You three lowly maids dare to control us?" The surrounding people sneered and ignored them. These were only three maids. Although they were maids by Yu Shiqia's side, so what? Maids were still maids. Therefore they ignored them. Today they had to figure out who this person was. Not only were there people from the Rain clan, but there were also people from other clans. After all, there were many pursuers here. Therefore, how could they not be anxious? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.